Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
And here we go.
From the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina, welcome to episode 71 of the Confirmed Epic Podcast, the official podcast of the epicreview.com, thepicreview.com, and proudly presented by the Geeks Worldwide Radio Network. I'm one of your hosts, the real Brad Bell, and joining me today, as always, is
Andrew Stokes,
also known as
Andrew Stokes,
or as I like to say, the AKA Andrew Stokes. No, not just
okay.
AKA Andrew Stokes.
Okay.
Before we get started and get into the meat and potatoes, as the British would say, of this podcast, let's get into a little housekeeping.
Housekeeping?
I think you're sleeping.
Housekeeping?
Could you come back in an hour?
Housekeeping, you want towel?
More towels. Need sleepy.
Housekeeping, you want mint for pillow?
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God.
So, AKA Andrew Stokes, I don't know if you knew, but the Confirmed Epic Podcast now has an Instagram account. You have followed us on there, right, Andrew Stokes?
Followed you on Instagram or us on Instagram? I have not.
Yeah, why is that?
I don't have an Instagram.
Oh, come on. Join the 21st century. I've been watching so much Legends of Tomorrow, about said like the 27th century.
You're talking to a guy whose Facebook profile picture has been the same since 2005.
But that's an iconic photo of you.
Okay.
I think that has a lot to do with it. But let me tell you about our Instagram account. You can follow us on Instagram at Confirmed Epic Podcast, all one word. I want to do something kind of neat with this. Insight and Sound, a podcast that I listen to, does some same stuff with their Instagram account, but they've kind of been changing it up a little bit. I don't want it to be a place where it's like, here is a picture of Baby Driver. Click on the link to get to our Baby Driver review. Nothing wrong with that. But I want it to be a way to share geek imagery. Like if there's a new poster I like, or a new one sheet, or not just posters like, for example, the new Ant-Man and the Wasp logo, and kind of ask our fans who hopefully begin to follow us. We started it yesterday. We got 15 followers. Hopefully...
It's more Twitter followers than I have now.
Yeah, hopefully they'll interact with us, let us know what they're excited about. Just an outlet to reach people other than Twitter.
So what's the handle?
Confirmed Epic Podcast.
Okay, so this is the podcast Instagram account.
Yeah, it is. And it says the real Brad Bell under, like if you click on the Instagram account, like it is, because I'm the one running it. But yeah, it is the podcast Instagram account, which gets me into another thing I think you're hinting at. Facebook, right?
No.
Okay, well, let me talk about that.
I was wondering why it's not the website's Instagram account.
What, TH Epic Review?
Yeah, because this is the podcast of our website.
Yeah, but
this is the Instagram account of our podcast of the website.
The podcast is the primary thing we do. Out of all the things we do, this is number one.
This is the meat and potatoes of our empire.
Yeah, of our entertainment empire. However, Facebook, we have our Facebook page. I pretty much abandoned that a long time ago. Andrew occasionally goes on there.
I need to start doing the podcast.
It's got our old logo and stuff, but I have made a new Facebook account. It's Real Brad, REEL Brad. And one of the reasons I did this was twofold. One was to kind of interact with people who on Facebook who listen to the podcast.
That'd be me.
Yeah. Two was to, I am a public school teacher, kind of have an alter ego on Facebook.
Did your friend Will influence you?
Yeah, because he's Vincent Main on Facebook. And Will, who did the Dunkirk review with us, go download that if you hadn't already. And yeah, he kind of did there. And I have the picture, my profile picture is our logo.
Yeah.
Which I may change that. I may put a different picture.
If you send
up
it
of
to me, I can update our other one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll send that to you, and you can update it, and you can man that Facebook page if you want.
To
but
my
I
little
will
heart's content.
I will be putting like links to everything we do on that Facebook page,
Okay.
along with Twitter. So I mean, if you're more of a Facebook person than a Twitter person, add me at Real Brad. So find me on there. Also, there has been a delay on the Icons of Cinema Showdown series.
I had noticed.
Yeah, a delay that we regret because it's something that you guys interacted with, you really liked. The download numbers were great. Hundreds of people participating in those Twitter polls. It is not dead. I just think now, with what I'm about to announce, is probably going to be, let's get this done by end of 2017 kind of thing. Rather than the summer showdown.
Well, I think
series.
we said that for a while, though.
Yeah,
that
we've kind of been hinting at that, but
Are we going to finish it by 2017?
I don't know. Following winter's crazy. We will finish it. You have my word. I'm a man of my word. That's a promise, to quote a great film character. Now, Andrew,
Yes.
why have we kind of been delayed on this 80s? That's the next one, right? We've done the 60s,
Yeah.
done the 70s. Go ahead and tell our listeners.
Well, you want me to call somebody out? Is that what-
Yeah, call him out.
Well, it's hard for all three of us because we want to include Barbecue 17 in that podcast, and it's hard for all three of us to find time together to get together.
And this is
and
an
I'll blame you
in-person
more
pod.
than anything.
Like that.
You want to blame Barbecue 17? I blame you.
Yeah.
But
And that's better done in person. If we were going to do it online, it would be a lot easier. But it's hard to really get into those kind of debates online. And Jerry is a huge fan of 1980s film, and I just don't want to do that without him. So it's more my fault than Jerry's, but just wanted to update
and
you.
I think the 70s was funner with the three of us.
Oh, yeah.
And the
60s was fine, but you know we
60s,
didn't know as much about 60s was just you and I, 70s was you, I, and Jerry, but we didn't know as much about 60s cinema.
Blind leading the blind on that one.
But speaking of the Confirmed Epic Podcast and Jerry Barbecue 17, I'm here to announce our plans for what Jerry calls hokey Halloween horror.
Okay.
This is something
Triple H
that we do in not just October, but August and September. And here's the plan, guys. Separate from the normal numbered Confirmed Epic podcast, Jerry Barbecue 17 and I are going to do 2 bonus episodes a month starting in August. So here are the themes for the month. It is Anthology August. We're going to be talking about Creepshow, which is the Romero and Stephen King anthology film. So if you want to check that out with us. And first, before that, we're going to be doing Tales of Halloween. So I haven't seen either one of these. Jerry has seen both, so that should be pretty interesting. September, once again, will be Slasher September.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick a slasher film. Jerry's going to pick a slasher film. That remains to be seen what those 2 films will be.
Do you have some ideas of what you want to pick?
Yeah, I kind of think I know what it's going to be. I can go ahead. I think I'm going to do Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning.
Okay.
Or Friday the 13th, Part 4, The Final Chapter. I'm debating. It's probably going to be Friday the 13th.
There's that new Friday the 13th game out.
Oh, my God. Evan Trulove's obsessed with this game. He plays it hours on Xbox One every day.
I haven't played it. Maybe I should get into it. I enjoy watching some of my favorite YouTube personalities play this game. It's a lot of fun. Greg Miller's really into it.
Oh, yeah.
But it's been making me want to go back. It's one of those franchises I've seen of various parts from those movies or whatever, but I've never actually. I don't think I've seen all of the Friday the 13th.
I started
movies.
last year. I watched the first 3, and I'm going to continue through the franchise this year. Okay. Now, as far as October, we have cleverly named it. When I say we, I mean me. Optober, as in an option. We're going to let you guys vote on what you would like us to review. We're going to review 2 films that month.
Do they have to be films?
I mean, preferably, yeah. I guess it could be a comic or something, but we don't have time for like a TV show or something.
I was thinking like season 1 of Stranger Things or something, because season 2 comes out at the end of that month.
We've done Stranger Things. Episode 52 of the Confirmed Epic Podcast.
Did we review the whole season?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was Jerry, Kristen, and I. We did that one online, I think. It was
been
about
pure
a year
garbage.
ago. It was a lot of fun. Go back and listen to that, a.k.a. Andrew Stokes. But I'm going to propose a film for October. Jerry is, you are, and Abby is. So we're going to have 4 proposals. We're going to give you a week to vote, probably the last week of September.
Now, do we choose 4 because that's the max Twitter poll?
Yeah, that's exactly the reason for 4. And the top 2 vote getters, those are the 2 films that we will review in October. Now,
Can
Abby,
you try to weasel me in there for one of them, possibly, if mine is chosen?
Yeah, if it works out, or
I know it's a little difficult,
you're welcome,
but yeah,
at any time. But speaking of you and horror, and Abby, who I've now named the mother of Beagles, she actually named herself that. But my wife Abby she's excited about this It remake. So that is going to be a review we're going to do within our numbered episode. So that won't be a bonus episode.
Okay.
So you and I and her at least will review that in September. I think it comes out September 17th. So there's a lot of fun stuff down the pipeline. I also want to say, I know some of you that listen to this podcast also listen to the 1987 rewatch, TMNT rewatch podcast that Jerry, Kendall Hallman, and I do. We're going to do one more episode of that next week, and then that's going on hiatus until November. The show's not ending. I promise you that, even if I can't do it every week and it's just Kendall and Jerry and our fill-in Emily, it will be coming back. But we need to really focus in on this hokey Halloween horror, because Jerry and I are doing that separately of the Confirmed Epic podcast, and not to water anything down, not to burn out any schedules. That's going to be going on hiatus till November. So you should have 6 bonus episodes of the pod, if not more, focusing on horror in the months of August, September, and October in various forms. But, a.k.a. Andrew Stokes,
that's me.
Let's go ahead and get into what we've been checking out this week.
Check checklist? Check. Double check enough checklists? Check.
Andrew, you've been checking out something really special. Just let me set this up real quick. Geeks Worldwide was gracious enough, who we are a proud part of their radio network, podcasting network, to send us the first 4 episodes of the Marvel Netflix exclusive Defenders series, which kind of teams up all these Netflix shows.
Yeah.
Luke Cage, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist. Needless to say, you were much more excited about this than me, because you watched all 4. I watched 1. Now, we got to preface this conversation by saying we got to be vague on how we talk about it, because there is review embargoes. We can't.
The review embargo's up, but we still shout out to Netflix for also letting us see these 4 episodes early.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there are strict guidelines about what we can and cannot talk about, and basically we can kind of give a review at this point, but it has to be kind of vague.
So we can say if we like it or not.
So we're not going to do a full review. Obviously, you've only seen 1 episode. I've seen all 4, which is half of the series. This is a mini series.
It's only 8.
It's only 8 episodes.
I might can watch this then.
Yeah, well, so you need to watch this other stuff first. So let's start with what we've seen.
Leading up
to this.
Okay.
You've seen
Daredevil, both seasons. I've seen Jessica Jones, so I haven't watched Luke Cage or Iron Fist.
Okay.
You've seen everything, right?
Everything, yeah.
Okay.
And I rewatched Daredevil season 2 just recently, because I knew
you're a maniac, my friend.
Well, because I knew somebody mentioned something recently to me about Daredevil season 2, and I was like, wait. That happened? I totally forgot about that. And I knew that...
The stick is blonde.
Going into... You kind of know, like, leading up to Defenders, we know it has to deal with, like, the hand and stuff. So I knew that there's some characters prior to this that have dealt more in the hand. Specifically, like, Daredevil and Iron Fist. Their stories have dealt more, like, directly with the hand. So it's like, okay, I know their stories, I assume, are going to play more into this season. So I'd watched Iron Fist recently after it came out. That was the last one to come out. So I rewatched season 2 of Daredevil just to refresh myself.
So let's give our initial impressions here, like we would on a normal review.
Okay.
What are your initial impressions here, Andrew?
Super excited so far. I really cannot wait to watch the rest of this season. I think it's there are a few criticisms I have for the series, like this little mini series, And there's one story beat that was just really off-putting, which you haven't gotten to. But for the most part,
Nor will I ever. I'm just kidding.
so that's the thing. I don't. People really seem to dislike Iron Fist. I feel like all of these.
It's universally panned.
Sure, I suppose. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than Luke Cage personally.
All right, let me go ahead and kind of get
Okay.
into the conversation that you and I were having off air yesterday that we quickly halted because we wanted to bring
I
to the
tried
podcast.
to quickly halt, and you just continued with your opinion while I bit my tongue.
Sometimes I can't help myself. I just had a Dunkin' Donuts coffee with a turbo shot.
So
So,
you are hyped up on caramel.
yeah, you'll have to forgive me. Now, I'm not going to talk about how this season starts in the first
Right.
episode necessarily, but it starts with a story beat continuing out of Iron Fist. I won't say what.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
wasn't lost. I knew what was going on, but obviously I didn't have the context of
Yeah.
the grander plot of Iron
Yeah.
Fist, having not
So
seen it.
The first episode, really, to me, it's almost like somebody took, it's almost like they filmed the first episode for the new season for all these shows, and somebody morphed them together. You know what I mean? Like it really feels like it's picking up right where each of these heroes has kind of left off.
Yeah.
But individually, obviously.
Like they were all happening simultaneously. Those
Exactly.
stories, which is weird, but I mean,
It's-
if it
it's-
works,
Right, yeah.
I don't know if it does here.
So if you haven't seen some of these other shows, some of where we find these characters isn't necessarily going to make sense to you.
All right, here's my argument against this. I have a couple. First of all, I got to give my initial impression.
Okay.
This wasn't bad, but I didn't find it really enjoyable.
Yeah.
The first episode of Defenders. In fact, I wasn't distracted. I was intently watching it, but I was kind of bored. Some of that may have to do with I watched it on the computer here that we're podcasting on. I usually watch on a TV. However, I'd been watching Legends of Tomorrow. I'm
Yeah.
2 episodes away from finishing season 2, which I really enjoy. I'll talk about it on next week's pod when I finish that. I mean, I just was thinking the whole time, I wish I was watching Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Season 2, because at least something freaking happens in every episode of that show. Now, you can
Yeah.
argue whether it's good or not, but I felt like this first episode was so meandering. And Andrew's argument was kind of, hey, it's hard to judge it considering you haven't watched, especially Iron Fist,
Yeah.
considering where the first episode picks up. My counter argument was I shouldn't have to watch 13 episodes of a universally disliked show to understand this team up. For example, I could watch Avengers
Yeah.
and enjoy it. I
Yeah.
bet a lot of people did this without seeing any of the MCU movies that came before. Now, are you going to get a lot more enjoyment if you did? Sure, absolutely. But I didn't have that feeling here. I feel like I needed to watch Iron Fist, and with the stuff that goes on with Luke Cage in episode 1, I feel like I needed to watch Luke Cage as well.
Yeah.
Even though I've watched 2 13-episode seasons of Daredevil and 1 13-episode season of Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here thinking, this crap's made for somebody like me. I love superheroes just as much as anybody.
Yeah.
I read comics monthly. I spend about $100 a month on comics, much to the mother of Beagle's chagrin.
Yeah.
And I just, if I'm not really enjoying this, if I think it's too much, I just wonder if it is a bit too much. But you be saying it's 8 episodes does really kind of make me a little more hopeful.
Well, I also have the question, why do you think you shouldn't have to know anything going into this?
It's not that I don't think I shouldn't have to know.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with the story of Danny Rand.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure.
Now, am I familiar with it as I am Bruce Wayne's story as Batman? No.
Right.
I'm very familiar with Luke Cage, his backstory of
Okay.
being Power Man, the whole background going back to Power Man and Iron Fist. I have a basic understanding of the core of these characters.
Okay.
And so you're telling me, can we go ahead and say that this is one of the biggest shows that Netflix has ever put out, this Defenders show? The fact that they've been building toward this is the Netflix MCU series. It's their Avengers, right?
Yeah, right.
And I cannot watch this without seeing 13 episodes of a crappy TV show. And I'm not talking about Luke Cage. I'm talking about Iron Fist because by all indications, Luke Cage is pretty good, which makes me want to watch it.
Yeah.
And I don't think I should have to watch 13 episodes of a bad show to understand 8 episodes of something that they are really selling, betting. I don't know if they're betting a lot on, but they put a lot into the Defenders hype.
Yeah.
Would you agree they put a lot into
Yeah.
it?
I
understand like where you're coming at me with this. It's like you're reading Harry Potter and you get to the 6th book and you don't understand it, but you didn't read book 5.
Yeah.
To me, that's not what this is.
Yeah.
This is something completely different.
Yeah.
In fact, I've even heard, I heard it sold by Kevin Feige as this is the Avengers of Netflix.
Yeah. And it is, but you definitely, you can't, there's certain shows you can watch and not watch. I don't want to give too much away. There are certain shows in like leading up to this that you could not watch.
You're talking about with Defenders.
Right.
So I could not watch Luke Cage.
I don't want to call out anything specifically.
Okay.
There are certain things where you will get spoilers if you watch Defenders without having watched a previous season. But you still will understand this just fine as long as you generally understand the character. But there are some that are definitely less so. And if you've watched Daredevil season 1 and 2.
And Jessica Jones.
But specifically Daredevil season 1 and 2, because season 2 of Daredevil
is The Hand.
No, but it leaves off at where they leave off at the end of season 2 of Daredevil is if you just know Daredevil, you don't know where they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't. We can get into spoilers if you don't mind for the end of
Daredevil
season 2.
Okay.
Where we leave off Daredevil season 2, Nelson and Murdoch have split up, both friendship-wise sort of, but definitely partnership-wise. Karen Page is left, the firm. Foggy and Karen both know that Matt is Daredevil,
and he's quit being Daredevil too, right?
And and because at the end of season 2 of Daredevil, he tells Elektra he wants to run off. He wants to be Daredevil. Daredevil is who he is. He wants to go around the world with Elektra and be on the run for the rest of their lives. And then Elektra dies.
Yeah.
And so he kind of says, okay, maybe Matt Murdock's then where I need to be. But anyway, so this is big stuff. What do you want from the Defenders? You want them to just like not mention this stuff?
So you say this is big stuff. So in a way, this is almost comparable to a blockbuster.
Sure.
If you will. I mean, I get it's Netflix, it's streaming, whatever. But there is nothing in this episode within the first 30 minutes, or even argue the first episode, of course, is what I'm talking about, that hooks me in. There's no action set piece. There's There's meandering.
But
I know we can't get into specifics
so one of the
much.
things I was going to say is this definitely is a slow build.
Yeah, a slow burn for sure. And that was one of the things I texted you.
As somebody who has watched these series, it's a fun slow. It's fun, it's interesting. It's like, okay, it's a continuation of all these different characters' story.
To me, this would be the equivalent of, so at the Avengers, you have that big opening scene where they hunt Loki or whatever.
Yeah.
If that wasn't in there and it just started out with them just meeting in the SHIELD helicarrier or something. That's a bad analogy considering what happens in the first episode. I don't know. There's no hook here. And maybe there's not supposed to be. Maybe this is just supposed to be something different. And you know what? I don't have to like every superhero thing out there.
Yeah.
Every superhero thing doesn't need to be for me.
Yeah, you just like the bad ones.
Yeah, I mean, I love the DC
See, that blows my mind.
I don't like Legends of Tomorrow Season 1 that much.
See, I think that's probably I've watched everything that the DC Arrowverse has put out, with the exception of the newest season of Flash.
You watched Supergirl?
I'm getting there. I haven't watched any. I've watched a couple episodes of Supergirl, but I haven't watched Supergirl. I haven't watched the newest Arrow, the newest Flash, or the newest Legend of Tomorrow. And Legend of Tomorrow Season 1 is probably the best thing they've done up to that point. Like the rest of it is like the rest of this stuff is like the rest of the Flash and Arrow was stuff I was watching and I had entertainment from it, but I couldn't like recommend it to somebody. It's like, this is not good.
The thing is, they do a lot of character building in those shows that makes me care about those characters in the CW shows. They did that with Daredevil.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, we see him from a child, and we see him in
Right.
college with Foggy and all that's really well done. And I know that does make it a little slower, but it's slower for character development.
Sure.
Sake. And Jessica Jones, I mean, I didn't leave that show caring for her at all.
Okay.
It was a great show. I
Really?
enjoyed it. Okay.
Yeah.
I was sympathetic toward her character and what she had been through.
Okay, sure.
But I didn't leave that show like, oh, I care more about this character because of this show. Obviously,
Yeah.
I can't speak for Iron Fist or Luke Cage because I haven't seen those.
Right. And that was going to be my argument, too, is these are TV shows compared to the Avengers movie. These TV shows have always been more about the characters.
But don't say then that this is the Avengers of Netflix.
But it still is, though. It definitely has that feel to it. But it's a slower build. You have
Did it
8
have that
episodes.
feel more after the first episode, you would say?
It builds.
Okay.
It builds. And
so you would recommend people watch this?
If you've watched the other ones, there's no reason not to. Because I said that about Iron Fist, though. I said if you've liked all these other shows, I don't know why you wouldn't like Iron Fist. And I had a friend recently I brought this up with about last week, and he said he has problems with I forget the actor's name that plays Iron Fist, but he doesn't think
He plays what's Marjorie's brother, Marjorie Tyrell's
No way,
brother.
is that him?
I don't know, Game of Thrones. I can't think of his name.
The Knight of Flowers or whatever. Yeah.
The gay guy from Game of Thrones. He was a good actor in Game of Thrones.
It's the fight scene supposedly. Supposedly he said that he and others don't think this guy is
Loris. That's
Loris.
his name.
They don't believe he does the fight scenes well. Like he's not believable in that role, which is what I didn't have a problem with.
I hadn't watched Iron Fist, so obviously I can't speak to that.
I don't.
Here, you made a good point. If you
why haven't you watched Luke Cage and why didn't you watch Iron Fist when it first came out?
I did. I'll get to it. All right. So, you said if you've enjoyed the rest of these shows,
yeah,
you'll probably enjoy Defenders.
Yeah.
Okay, that is a valid point. Great point by you, aka Andrew Stokes. My thing is, I don't know if a lot of people are enjoying this stuff and watching it because they enjoy it. I feel like they're watching it.
Why do you say that?
Okay, because I didn't enjoy the first episode of Defenders, but I feel like I need to watch it to keep up with the cultural conversation. A lot of that has to do with us do a podcast and whatnot.
Sure.
But because it's going to be in this nerd zeitgeist for like the next 3 weeks or so.
How far into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are you?
I watched the first 3 seasons.
Wow, really? Okay, well,
yeah.
fair enough.
There's 5 episodes. I mean, 5
seasons?
Probably should only be 5 episodes. There's 5 seasons. I think they're coming up on season 6, which just baffles me.
Yeah.
I'm just not excited about. I hope people are watching this, Defenders, Iron Fist, any of these, because they enjoy these shows.
Yeah.
And not just because, they're part of the MCU, so I need to watch this. I know that's probably the minority of watchers, but you know those people are out there, because I was one of those people.
Watching just to watch it.
On Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, it wasn't that good, but I was like, well, I've watched all this other stuff, and finally I just said, damn, the MCU's gotten too big for me.
Yeah.
I can't keep up.
See, I think you're in the minority.
So what was you're asking me?
Yeah.
Why I haven't watched Iron Fist? Luke Cage, I just missed. I don't know when it came out during football season.
I think that's what happened. I watched it months after as well.
Was it this past November or the November before? Because if it was in November 2 years ago, the Panthers were like 13-0.
It came out. It came out 2016, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Well,
Iron Fist was the first of 2017, and Luke Cage was the last of 2016.
It was football season. It was the holidays.
Okay.
I mean, I guess that's my excuse. I've never said I didn't want to watch Luke Cage because I like that character.
No,
I liked him in Jessica Jones. I liked him in New Avengers, Brian Michael Bendis' run on the character. But Iron Fist I didn't watch because everybody said it's terrible. And there's so much stuff out there. Why am I going to sit through a terrible show? Now, it's subjective. I may watch it and love it.
Well, exactly, because I knew people said it was terrible when I went into it. But I like these other series, so why am I not going to watch this one? And I know I didn't go into it like, oh, this is going to be a slog. You know what I mean? Like
that's what I went in. It felt like I didn't go into Defenders thinking it was. You're talking about Iron Fist, but I didn't go into Defenders thinking it was a slog.
Yeah.
But 15 minutes in, I'm like, Shit.
Well, plus
this is boring as hell.
But we're also talking about 13 episodes, as opposed to how many episodes are in a season of these DC shows.
Well, in all fairness, Legends of Tomorrow was only set. They went from 23 to 17.
Right, they were shorter seasons,
which was so great for that show.
Yeah.
Now these other shows are too long. That being said, Arrow was freaking phenomenal last year.
See, and they do character building too, but I would argue that the Marvel character building is better than the DC character building. The DC character building is stupid.
Sure, I can
basic.
I can argue that it is better done. Those are much more as far as production, storytelling, at the script level. God knows at the dialogue level, they're much higher quality shows.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't know if they're as entertaining. Okay, let's use an example.
Sure,
here.
no, I get you.
All right, so Transformers compared to Black Swan. All right, Black Swan. Nobody's gonna argue that Transformers is a better movie than Black Swan. Critically. Okay? You ever seen
We're talking about
Black
the first
Swan?
Transformer. I've seen Black Swan.
Yeah, the first Transformers.
Okay.
But Transformers is much more entertaining.
See, I don't know.
So, I mean, I saw Black Swan and Transformers, but if I had to pick to watch one or the other, unless it's something I absolutely want to see, if I'm watching superheroes, I want to see something more entertaining. And if you're going to do something bigger, like Nolan did with his Batman trilogy, that's fine. But look at the beginning of each of the Nolan Batman films. Mm-hmm. They had those like James Bond type opening scenes. Well, maybe not Batman Begins so much, but you had the bank robbery scene in Dark Knight and the whole plane thing in Rises. I'm sorry to go back to Nolan, but...
No, it's not that. I mean, there's some stuff that goes on this first episode of Defenders that isn't slow build, I guess. I don't know.
Which we can only talk so much about here. So we wanted to spend a decent amount of time on this because we were very fortunate to have access to these episodes. Thank you to Geeks Worldwide. Thank you to our editor-in-chief, Casey Walsh, for getting these to us. And again, like Andrew said, thank you to Netflix for giving us the access. We greatly appreciate it. And I think we look forward to a time, at least you do, where we can dive deeper
Having
into this.
watched the first 4 episodes, I want to go back and watch some of the other seasons.
And I don't even want to watch some, I hadn't seen Iron Fist. I know I don't want to watch. I think I will watch Luke Cage.
It continues the general story of what they've been building so far, and it makes me like there's moments there, like I said, it's a slow build. There's things going on that you're kind of like, huh, like what, but not in the like this story is confusing, makes no sense, but in a what's something's going on here and I'm not sure what yet,
like an intriguing mystery in a way.
Exactly. And then there's some stuff like kind of revealed throughout where I'm like, oh man, like this is going on, it has been going on. I kind of want to go back and watch some of these seasons I've already watched again.
And again, my argument is I shouldn't have to watch a subpar show in order to enjoy this. And as subpar as...
But why? Why? It's a show. It's
Iron
a show.
Fist is supposed to be terrible, so I have to watch a terrible show to watch a show that might be pretty good. Probably will be pretty good, let's be honest. But we could talk about Defenders, Andrew, all day.
I just don't understand the argument, though. Why should I have to watch the shows that came before to watch the current show?
I mean... And this is weird because we're not talking. We're kind of in new territory here in this era of TV.
We can't be specific.
Yeah, we're not that too. But we're not talking about like seasons of a show. It's not like. Why can't I watch Lost season 3 without seeing 1 and 2? Because you're not going to know what the hell's going on.
But it is kind of like
different. You should be able to. If I like Daredevil a lot and I like Jessica Jones a lot, I should be able to watch those two and then watch Defenders. I think I should. Now that's my opinion.
You can, but I don't see why you. I think this is rewarding people who are into everything they put out.
Yes, it is, and not many people are into everything.
Well,
I think the minority.
Can you back that up?
I think you're in the minority for when I say everything, we're talking Netflix.
Yeah,
we're not talking about necessarily the MCU as a whole. I think most people did not like Iron Fist at all.
Even my one friend who was trashing Iron Fist, hated Iron Fist, was begging me to come watch these Defenders. He's like, let me watch one episode. I'm like, no, I can't do that.
But he watched Iron Fist.
But he watched Iron Fist.
Why'd he continue watching it if he hated the show? That makes no sense to me.
Well,
If I get
because it's 13 episodes.
exactly, that's 13 hours of his life he spent watching something that he didn't like, right?
Right, he did not
Jacob.
like it.
We're talking
No,
about Jacob,
no,
a
no,
different
so
friend.
friend
Okay.
you don't know, yeah.
All right, so
But
that's kind of my argument.
But it's shorter. You know what I'm saying?
13 hours is not short. You have to watch it.
This
I feel like
Iron
it's in
Fist,
one chunk.
Iron Fist isn't season 3 of Flash though. It's
But
not
that's
like
once a week. All this stuff is out there in one big chunk, and you almost feel like you have to consume it in that way because
Sure.
they're going to be coming out with the next chunk. And when we
months later.
all right,
They
listen,
do like
listen,
2.
listen.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm watching Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Without commercials, like I'm on Netflix, it's 40 minutes.
Yeah.
These shows are all 55 minutes, 50 minutes at the shortest, to maybe an hour and 5 in some cases, these Netflix shows.
Yeah.
So these are
Some of
13 episodes, but they're beefy, so it almost adds up to like 2 CW shows. So it's really like 15
It's not
episodes.
that much. Not an hour and a half.
Okay, all right. So
I say they're equivalent to one episode of Flash. My point is though, I'm not saying I didn't delve into him. If he hated it from episode 1, like wow, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. Like
give it one more.
he
Watch
wrote-
2 episodes.
Right, I'm not sure if it may have not been till the end where he's like, wow, this was not worth it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
There's too much good content, or not even good.
There is too much good content.
There's too much stuff I enjoy much more. Then I would rather edit this podcast.
Yeah.
I find that more rewarding than watch Iron Fist.
But you haven't watched Iron Fist, you can't say that.
Okay,
Everything
then
you-
watch Defenders.
Everything you've
Then
seen
I've
from
seen
Marvel,
Defenders season
everything
1.
you've seen from these Marvel Netflix series, you've enjoyed.
I feel like I'm talking too loud.
We are. You're arguing now.
All right,
Everything you've seen from these Marvel Avengers series.
Except for Defenders episode 1, I did not enjoy
We'll
it.
put that. But again, we haven't seen the stuff that led up to that. So let's put that aside.
Okay.
Everything you've seen up to this point, you've enjoyed.
Yeah, but apparently.
But because some people said, "Oh, Iron Fist sucks," you're like,
Some
forget
people-
it.
Some people. All right,
Some people like it.
Let's go ahead. And
I'm about to look up the Metacritic for
All
this
right,
season.
You can. Let's go ahead and move on to something I've been checking out.
But I
right,
think your point's invalid though. You can't say
What do
like,
you mean
just
my
because
points?
you said I don't think most people. You think most people have seen just Daredevil or just Jessica Jones.
I
or
bet
whatever.
you that most people have not seen all 4 seasons.
Five.
Is this 5?
Two Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist. 5 seasons total.
Oh crap! Okay, 5 seasons.
Yeah.
My bad. Have seen all 5 seasons. Are gonna watch Defenders. I would probably say that probably
No, I agree that
51%, maybe the majority have watched all. But I would probably say 40-something% of people that watch Defenders have not watched every episode of every Netflix Marvel thing.
as somebody who doesn't own stock in Netflix, I don't care if Defenders appeals to those who haven't watched the stuff that hasn't come before. Like I'm very fine with this is for me. Somebody who has
But
watched.
that's what I said. That's fine.
Yeah.
I didn't. I don't feel like this is for me.
You said it's fine, but you don't like it.
I mean, it's fine that you like it. I'm glad
You're
you
saying
did.
it's fine that people can't pick it up now. But you said earlier that it's not fine that people can't pick it up, that people should be able to just watch Defenders.
They should be able to just watch Defenders. It's fine that you enjoy it,
Yes.
but I don't feel like, and this is, again, one episode I've seen,
Okay.
I don't feel like you can enjoy Defenders without seeing all this other stuff.
And I'm fine
And
with
I think
that.
you would argue that, too.
There's definitely it definitely picks up where
In particular with Iron Fist stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
I mean, do you see my argument there? So,
No, I completely understand your argument. I'm saying that's fine though.
Yeah.
I don't care that people who haven't watched this other stuff are going to come in and be like, "What's going on?" Like that's fine.
Yeah. All right.
Screw them.
Go watch Defenders on Netflix. Let's go ahead and get into something I've been checking out. I promise we won't argue as much about this. I think it's something we both love.
Okay.
Now, I've been really loving the Boom Studios Power Ranger stuff that they've been doing with Tom King. I'm surprised it took them this long. They had a Pink Ranger miniseries from Brandon Fletcher. They just launched a new ongoing title. It's called Go Go Power Rangers. It's by writer Ryan Parrott. and artist Dan Moore. Now, when I read the synopsis of this, I didn't think I would enjoy it because it was supposed to be about them as, you know, Billy, Trini, Zach, Jason, Kimberly, as people outside of the suits. And I was like, oh, we're going to see them like volunteering at a car wash for charity or something. We've talked about this in the past.
The green car wash charity.
But it's
race.
There is it was a great balance between character moments and action in the first issue.
Yeah.
And it's more about how they emotionally deal with being Power Rangers.
This takes place before the Green Ranger, right?
Yeah, this takes place right after Day of the Dumpster.
Wow.
Pretty much. So Day of the Dumpster happens in the first couple pages. I think this was a little longer because it was like a first issue.
Yeah.
And then they actually, by the end of the first issue, they've traveled to Rita's palace on the moon to rescue the astronauts that appear in the opening scene of Power Rangers.
Okay.
So, I mean, it was some cool shit, man. Like, you know what it reminded me of? How badass and how much I used to love the Red Ranger.
Yeah.
My brother was just like this too until Tommy showed up.
Yeah.
Tommy shows up, it's like, Jason, you know, you're cool, but...
Did you watch Power Rangers from day one?
I got into it right after Day of the Dumpster come on. I'll never forget. Okay. My mom used to do something called like before and after school care before she started working at the hospital. Yeah. Before she finished school. And I was big into Turtles. Yeah. And as a kid, I really wouldn't watch, because I was like 6 or 5 when Power Rangers come out. As a little kid, I really wouldn't watch anything unless it was a cartoon. And there was this older kid in there, it's probably like 3rd or 4th grade. I was in 1st grade. Yeah. And he was like, you need to watch this show. I mean, I remember this. You need to watch this show, Brady. I'm like, no, he's telling me about it. Yeah. And so he recorded Day of the Dumpster. Really? Didn't even have like the actual bought tape because I hadn't released it yet. And he brought it and we watched it on one of those like school TVs on the cart and after school care. And I've been a fan ever since, and I'm 30 years old now.
It's funny, it was an older person that kind of got me into it as well. It was my older sister. She had said something like, "Oh, these
Jen, who's been on this podcast before,
in a published episode."
Yeah, RoboCop. She was on our RoboCop review. I don't know what number the RoboCop remake, early, but go ahead.
So she had, I guess, like some kids at school were talking about it, and she showed it to me.
Yeah.
She read it ever since.
How much older is Jen than you?
About 2.5 years.
Yeah, so they are pretty close in age.
Yeah. So I think, but she regretted it ever since. She did not like the Power Rangers TV show.
She showed it to you.
But she was like, some kids have been talking about this. She knew I was in the Ninja Turtles, so she showed it to me. So it's fun. But it had been on, I think, for a couple weeks now. Yeah. And I don't remember exactly when I watched it. Like when it picked up. Like was Tommy already there? Was he not? I don't remember.
I remember watching that as it happened.
Yeah.
Like the green, there were points, I think, where it came on 5 days a week.
Yeah. And
they would show like the episode the day before. Mm-hmm. They would show in the morning, like before you went to school.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And then when you got home, like at 4:30, I remember just wanting to get home.
Yeah, it was like the new episode.
But it was usually like the last show in their little lineup block because they knew that you would watch to get to Power Rangers. I was usually there waiting to hit record on my VHS tape so I could have the episode.
I used to record Pokemon episodes.
Really? I did Power Rangers. That was the big one I recorded on VHS. So I'll never forget, like,
I was probably too old to be recording
that new Ranger showing up.
Yeah.
I mean, just but I've went on and on about how much I love the Green Ranger. I got a confession to make to you.
You actually hate the Green Ranger.
No, and
you are the Green Ranger.
I'm making a confession to my wife, Abby, and she finds out so much stuff on this podcast, so I'm just going to throw it out there. Here you go, Mother of Beagles, when you listen to this on your way to work next week. I actually bought that, and you know what this is, the J.C. Richards Power Rangers poster. Remember, I told you I was going to put it up there. It's the same artist that did that Christopher Reeve Superman one. Okay. It's like a long-form shot that has the Ranger, Cyclops, Rita. You remember it has Goldar on it?
Yeah. Scorpina's on it too, right?
I don't think she is. Like a Mantis. The Mantis is on there, which is odd. But J.C. Richards, who's an artist that I love, Mondo artist, did this for I'm 8-Bit.
Yeah.
And they did the vinyl record, which I didn't pick up. I mean, I'm not a huge vinyl fan. That being said, I did order the Baby Driver vinyl, which we can talk about later if we ever get to that review. But I ordered the poster, so it was $70, but it was on sale. The poster was for $48.
Yeah.
And I looked on eBay. I was just like, I wonder what it's going for on eBay.
Yeah.
People selling it for $115, $130.
Yeah.
$48, $5 shipped. I got this thing. It arrived yesterday when Abby was at work. It's in the corner over there. But my plan is, this is a plan, to put it up there beside the J.C. Richards Superman. I know that's kind of the DC wall, but it's the same artist. It's stuff I love. Who gives a shit? Right? However, I got bad news today, Andrew Stokes. So I called Hobby Lobby. Cherie, who has framed everything you see in this house, has left. After working there for like as long as Hobby Lobby has been in this area.
Yeah.
And she'd been there 15 years. She was a district manager at one point.
Yeah.
So thankfully, Scott and Tammy, who worked under Cherie, now run the frame shop in Shelby, North Carolina.
Okay. So you're going to Shelby to get
I'm going to
things framed
Shelby,
now.
which is, we got a bunch of big posters coming. We got Abby's Jaws. We got the Anson Spider-Man Homecoming. We have a Wonder Woman. This J.C. Richard Power Ranger. I'm looking about $400 in frames or $500.
You gotta clear off some ceiling space.
No. Power Rangers right there.
Okay.
Wonder Woman's in the bedroom.
Okay.
Jaws is beside the other Jaws.
Okay.
And in the hallways where the Anson Spider-Man's going. So we have it all planned out, Andrew Stokes, okay?
All
right.
like taped off sections
From
of the
one
wall.
thing that I love to another, posters to something else I love, Christopher Nolan.
Never heard of him.
Andrew Stokes. I've been waiting for a while. What is your thoughts on Dunkirk, which I saw a second time, by the way?
So, so I have a question for you. When you reviewed the movie, when you put out the bonus episode with you and Will,
I'd seen it once.
You'd only seen it in IMAX.
He had seen it twice.
You'd only seen it in the true IMAX.
Yeah.
Okay. Just double checking.
You saw it in just normal.
Right. I saw it just your normal run of the mill AMC classic.
35 millimeter.
Sure.
Be what it would be.
It was digital, but yeah.
But the ratio of the screen. I know it's digital, but it would mimic 35 millimeter.
So what did you think watching it the second time?
I loved it a lot more the second time. I still don't think it's an epic film. I think it's a great and a half. I don't want to spoil Dunkirk. I mean, it's a World War II event, but surprisingly, a lot of people don't know a ton about Dunkirk.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more of a British thing. The intersecting timelines were confusing. The clock ticking and whatnot, how it would. So there were three stories. There was one that was a day, one that was an hour, and one that was a week.
Yeah.
And the score was good, but that ticking clock annoyed me. Once I realized that it ticked faster in the hour, and it matched what timeline was.
I didn't notice that. I
didn't notice it until the second time, right?
I didn't notice that at all. But I definitely noticed the ticking clock, though. I liked the score for the most part, I guess. Did
you like the movie?
I did like the movie a lot. See, maybe it was because you guys saw it in IMAX first. I at no point was confused about the different timelines, I guess. Like that
was a big part of why we knew there were different timelines.
Yeah.
But that first time you see Cillian Murphy like out with the troops at sea versus on the boat with the family at George Mills, it was kind of like we're so caught up in the spectacle of IMAX, it was hard to take that in.
Okay. And see, for me, that was the first moment where I'm like, okay, I've been waiting for something like this.
Yeah.
Because it's like at first it's like The Mole 1 week, and you're like, what does this mean? And then it does the other ones 1 day, and at first, like it's not 100% sure, but like pretty early on, I'm like, okay, these are stories that are spanning different lengths about the same thing.
What did you like about this film, and where would you rate it as far as like in relation to other Nolan movies?
Other Nolan movies. I haven't seen Memento in forever.
Yeah,
and that's always.
You haven't seen Prestige either, but
I've never seen Prestige or the other one. Was the older one.
Insomnia.
Yeah. I haven't seen Memento in forever. And that's typically my go-to number one Nolan film. So it's hard for me to kind of gauge there. But, I mean, I'd put it right up there at the very top of his films.
Really?
Really love Dunkirk.
You like Dunkirk better than The Dark Knight?
Probably.
Do you like it better than Inception?
Yeah, I like it better.
Really?
Inception. Yeah. I love Inception. I'm not...
See, I think
in
Inception's his best movie.
See, in classic form, I'm not as high on Inception as you are. I really like Inception. I like Dark Knight better than Inception.
Yeah. Which I like Dark Knight better, but I think Inception's to me, Inception is his masterpiece.
Well, one of the things you guys were debating about, I think it's a shoo-in, that Dunkirk's definitely going to be nominated for Best Picture.
Really?
I don't think it's a question.
God, I hope you were right.
I don't think it's a question.
One of the things we're going to get to in Epic News is Warner Brothers has a multi-million-dollar campaign to nominate Wonder Woman
Which I'll roll my eyes
for Best Picture and Patty Jenkins for Best Director.
Yeah.
So Warner's is also Nolan's studio.
They don't.
Can they give two a push? I mean, I've never seen anything like that.
They can. They don't need to give Dunkirk a push. Like, I think it's going to be nominated for Best Picture, like, already, and Nolan probably for Best Director as well.
You think Nolan's gonna get an Oscar?
I don't know, because Oscars.
Will he ever get an Oscar? That's what I ask Will.
Yeah.
You think he'll get a Best Picture or Best Director one day?
Yeah.
One or the other?
Yeah.
That's the two big ones, right?
Oscar season's always like, you gotta wait and see the nominees, because there's always like that one or two films you haven't heard of, or maybe they weren't on your radar necessarily. So it's hard to say, yeah, he's gonna win this year. You know what I mean? It's way too early for me to say that. But I think it's a shoo-in to be nominated. Absolutely.
What would you rate this film?
I'd probably give it an epic.
Really?
I really liked it. I enjoyed it more than you.
This was my number one film of the summer going in as far as anticipation.
Yeah, to me, it's definitely, for me now, was this my favorite film of the year so far?
Really?
Yeah. Like,
see, it's not in that discussion for me. It's one of my favorites. I know it'll probably be in my top 5. Who knows, though, with the number of movies that's coming out in fall and winter. Yeah. So you'd give it an epic.
But part of it is also, like, you know, I've seen a lot of movies this year, and it's definitely like, I guess it's technically a blockbuster. Yeah. But it doesn't feel
it's as
just
big as
like
a
a
blockbuster, though.
Yeah.
I will say this: spoilers for Dunkirk. The next minute and a half. Just skip ahead. When I saw it a second time, there were 2 moments that got me, and I teared up. I didn't cry the first time. It was George Mills in the paper when they showed that local boy hero at Dunkirk. Yeah. And all he wanted to do was be recognized for something. And then when the pilot, not Tom Hardy, the other pilot gets back with the father of the 2 boys.
And what have you done or whatever? Where were you?
What have you done? And he goes, it's Mark Rylance is the actor. He goes, they know what you did. Yeah. And I just got I'm getting goosebumps now. I just got freaking goosebumps.
It was great. I mean, it was epic.
I think if I would have saw it maybe the first time, in just like 35 millimeter, I would have probably given it an epic.
And see, I think listening to that podcast, I think you guys convinced me to never watch a movie for the first time on IMAX.
And that's great advice. Yeah, as somebody who's seen everything Nolan's done since Dark Knight in true IMAX. I didn't see Interstellar in true IMAX. I take that back.
Man, that would have been a really fun one to see in true IMAX.
That was the only Nolan movie I didn't own. I ordered on Blu-ray, eBay, like $9. But speaking of Oscars, let's go ahead and get into our epic news for this week. Speaking of Warner Brothers and Oscars, to kind of pick up where we were with the Nolan stuff, talking about Dunkirk, Warner Brothers has a multi-million-dollar Oscar campaign planned to push Wonder Woman for Best Picture nominee and potential Best Picture winner. I never see it happening. And Patty Jenkins for Best Director. Now, here's what I find ironic about this.
Ironic.
Nolan was the one who kind of changed the game at the Academy Awards. When Dark Knight wasn't nominated, they changed it to 10 potential Best Picture nominees. Yeah. At first, you had to nominate 10. That got to be too much. It kind of watered down the Oscars. So then they said, okay, up to 10. Or
you're not talking about Toy Story 5. 3, are you?
No, I think that deserved to be nominated. I love that
too.
movie.
It's wonderful.
But here's the guy who has the best, from a critical standpoint, superhero movie in The Dark Knight.
Okay.
But he may lose, or he's going up against from the same studio, Warner Brothers, and then who owned DC, of course, another superhero film,
Okay.
And Wonder Woman, you got on to me just a little bit, not too bad, about me talking about the power politically, the political power, if you will, of Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman, albeit symbolic maybe, in the Trump era. We know, like, the Oscars, how political they can get.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Warner Brothers, seeing an opportunity of female empowerment as a theme at this year's Oscars, saw a chance to really push Wonder Woman. And like I said earlier, will they push Dunkirk? You made a great argument. They might not need to. What do you think about all this Wonder Woman Oscar buzz?
I don't think the movie's best picture quality. You may disagree.
It's not.
Oh.
It's not best picture quality.
Okay.
No way.
You gave it an epic, though.
Yeah, but it's not best picture quality. It doesn't. I don't think it transcend. Did I say it transcended the genre? I don't. It does maybe.
I don't know. You say that every other word when you review movies.
I think it does. I don't know, man. Like, it's not a. I can just watch and the feel and how I felt going out of it, which I loved it. I felt like I'd seen an epic summer blockbuster. I didn't walk out saying this deserves to win Best Picture.
Sure.
I walked out of Dark Knight thinking Heath Ledger better get an Oscar, and this better get nominated for Best Picture. I didn't have that same feeling walking out of Wonder Woman. But anyway, you like this movie a lot less than I do. So imagine you're like, what the hell here?
Yeah. I mean, there are movies that I watch that I'd be like, okay, this was good. This is fine. I could see how this could get nominated even if I didn't like it necessarily or didn't like it as much. I don't think I've ever seen a film and hated it and been like, there's, and then it get nominated. But I just don't see it.
I see her for Best Director.
I could see that before I could see the whole movie as Best Picture.
If Wonder Woman gets a Best Picture nominee and Dunkirk doesn't, that's a robbery.
Yeah, that would just be weird.
Like, that makes no sense to me.
I don't see how Dunkirk doesn't get a Best Picture.
But here we are,
a
week and a half after Dunkirk, 2 weeks maybe after Dunkirk came out.
Yeah.
And we're far removed, at least when we're talking about movie time, from Wonder Woman coming out June 2nd. Yeah. And we're talking about Wonder Woman still.
Exactly. That's why I think the whole reason they're doing it. They're pushing Wonder Woman again. They still have Justice League coming out, and they're pushing. Supposedly, I still haven't seen the newest trailer, but supposedly they're pushing Wonder Woman in that. I think they had a film that, not just fans but critics also seem to like, and I think they're like putting all their eggs in the Wonder Woman basket, so to speak.
A superhero movie's never been nominated for Best Picture, so that would be groundbreaking.
Okay.
I mean, even Dark Knight Rises, it had its problems, so it didn't get that Best Picture nomination.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought it might. If this gets nominated or somehow wins, which I could see it getting nominated before I could ever see it winning, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Or unless they just want to say F you Trump at the Oscars and just this ultimate female badass push that. Maybe it gets that political, but I feel like they would find more.
I would think
The Beguiled's coming out, which is a Sophia Ford Coppola movie, and it's about like female medics during the Civil War who played a big role, and it's supposed to be a nom. I could see them pushing that within that political context.
I think there's better. Yeah, I think there's better films if you're being anti-Trump to push, but hopefully that's not what they're doing. Hopefully,
that's what they're gonna do.
The Oscars is political, but I think it's more internal politics than overworld politics.
That's a good argument.
And it's like, I hope they're not they're not gonna give Best Picture to a movie just because of the time we're living in. I hope it's because that year was the Best Picture.
Yeah.
So,
which is the way it should be.
Right.
But I will be extremely upset if it gets nominated over Dunkirk. And I love Wonder Woman, okay?
Yeah.
About to hang a Mondo poster of it in my
rated it
house.
higher than Dunkirk. So.
Yeah, but critically, Dunkirk's a better movie.
I don't care about that.
Technically, Dunkirk's a better movie.
If I liked Wonder Woman more than I like Dunkirk, I would say Wonder Woman should be nominated over Dunkirk.
Really?
Yeah.
I separate the two in my head.
I don't care. I don't care about objectively looking at a film. This is how I like the film. This is where the film is in my head.
Yeah.
No, I'm realistic. If I had to put money on it, you know what I mean? I'd be realistic about it. But that that's just my opinion on the matter.
Speaking of your opinion,
yeah,
something you have a very low opinion on the Transformers franchise. So it's been confirmed that John Cena has boarded Bumblebee.
And you know what the best thing
about the male lead in this movie?
Yeah, John Cena and Bumblebee. You know the best thing about it is
What?
Now I don't have to see it.
Yeah, you
It's a
can't
John
see
Cena,
me, okay.
John Cena joke there, folks.
Uh,
Again, this is like the Mark Wahlberg casting, where it's like,
Mark Wahlberg was at least an established actor. John Cena's, I know, what's he been in The Marine,
Trainwrecked.
Daddy's Home, and Trainwreck.
He was funny in Trainwrecked. I think that's the only thing I've seen.
But to headline an action movie, I just don't
but
see it.
next to Bumblebee and
Haley Steinfeld.
yeah. So
who is mainly, well, she was really awesome in True Grit, and she
Right.
held her own next to somebody like Jeff Bridges.
yeah, exactly.
She's gonna if she has kept her acting chops, she's gonna really overwhelm. You're really not gonna be able to see
John Cena.
I think Bumblebee comes out in 2019. I don't have the exact date on hand, but this doesn't make
It sounds crazy.
Yeah,
It sounds
80s.
crazy to have Haley Steinfeld and John Cena co-starring in any movie, but then it's a Bumblebee 80s film or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's all like just crazy. Like what's happening
To me,
right now? What
that-
world is this?
That buzz, if you will,
Yeah.
of craziness
Yeah.
makes me think this is going to be another one of those Transformers movies. It's so bad, it's good. And I know they're not going to get your money. Or will
Well,
they?
it's a spin-off film. I mean, it's that.
That's true. Yes, that's what I like to hear, Andrew Stone. This doesn't make me any less or more excited for. Maybe it makes me a little more excited for Bumblebee because now I
This
feel
makes
like,
me. Everything so far makes me excited to see a trailer for this film.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's like I just want what is this gonna look like?
What if we one day? I guess this wouldn't make sense from a time-wise standpoint. Cade Yeager and John Cena on the same
Old
screen?
man John Cena?
Yeah, no, yeah,
Because this takes place in the 80s, right?
Yeah, so they put like a bunch of makeup and shit on him. And
But he's still like
next to-
huge. He's still like
Yes.
swole.
We know what Transformers 6 is going to be. This is a huge setup. It's a
What
long
if he
game
meets?
for that.
What if at the end of Bumblebee, John Cena, whoever his character is, saves a baby Shia LaBeouf?
Oh my, mind blown.
Baby.
Wow.
I
just see Mark Wahlberg going up meeting John Cena. Transformers? You think you know Transformers? I know Transformers. I know a thing or two about Transformers. I got the Transformers out in the garage out there. And then John Cena he doesn't even say anything. He just says you can't see me.
face wave. I assume. I mean, Michael Bay is still involved with this film, even if he's not directing. Still producing.
Michael
and
Bay
stuff.
could say he's left Paramount, and I would believe he's still involved. That's
Yeah,
how
right.
much his.
I assume this is gonna look just like any of the other
I mean,
Transformers
they're gonna
films.
objectify Haley Steinfeld within the first 3
How
minutes.
old is she
of the
now?
film. She's 18.
Let's
now.
say it's fine.
I think
It's
she's
fine.
19 years old now.
It's fine now.
That Michael Bay had like a countdown clock on his desktop computer to her 18th birthday. As soon as he turned 18,
God.
can you be in Transformers movie? Okay, good. All right, so we'll see what happens. I'm excited, like you said, to see a trailer because it just sounds batshit.
Yeah.
Fox has revealed our first look at Domino in Deadpool 2, played by Zazie Beetz. Deadpool 2 is out, June 1st, 2018. This image kind of riffed on that iconic now Deadpool image of him on the bear rug. It was her in
Right.
front of the fireplace, and she was like on a Deadpool rug,
Yeah.
which I thought was pretty clever.
Yeah.
Domino's a character I really like from the comic books. She has the mutant ability of probability, so she can kind of
Like long shot.
huh?
Like long shot.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Okay.
So she can kind of get herself out of tough situations by the probability of how many people are you going to be able to kill with these 2 bullets, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, looks pretty cool. Looks like it fits the tone and feel of this universe.
Yeah.
And at Fox and with Deadpool. What'd you think?
I don't have many feelings either way. The picture is cool, but she's one of these characters.
It's now hanging above Andrew's TV in his new house.
She's one of these one of these characters that I know of.
Whoa! She's a character. If it was Michael Bay, she'd just be a pitcher. She wouldn't be if Michael Bay was directing this. Okay, all right, go ahead. Sorry.
But she's one of these characters that I really don't like. She's just one I know, don't really know anything about, don't have any feelings one way or the other. So
I'm reading Weapon X by Frank Cho now, and she's in that book as a mainstay, and she's one of the best parts of that book.
Okay.
So I'm really kind of just
what else has the
got
actress
into
been in?
I have no idea.
She's been. I don't think I've seen her in anything either. So it's like
she may be a relatively unknown. I couldn't tell you, but
she's been in something, but I don't remember what.
I have no idea. I'm just now kind of getting into the Domino character. So, Chiwetel Ejiofor is rumored to be the voice of Scar in the live-action Lion King adaptation. This is an adaptation that's out July 19th, 2019. Now, we have it confirmed already that James Earl Jones, that, of course, one of the two most iconic voices, he and Morgan Freeman in Hollywood, is going to voice Mufasa, right?
Which he originally did.
Yeah. Heard that news. I thought that was great. I have nothing against Chiwetel Ejiofor here, who most recently was, I don't know the character he played, but he was in Doctor Strange.
Now, he was in The Martian as well.
Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff. Like, if you see Chiwetel, you will recognize him. Yeah. He's a good character actor. But my first thought here was, cool, I like Chiwetel. If they do that, that's fine. Of course, this is rumored, but it seems like we're close to a deal. Why can't we get Jeremy Irons back as Scar? That voice
I was hoping for Josh Gad personally.
I knew you were. You know who was rumored forever, don't you? Hugh Jackman.
For Scar.
Yeah.
Really?
Which I thought would have been cool.
But I think they're trying to go for the Lions and all black cast, I think is the idea. So
I get it. And Jeremy Irons is white. Jeremy Irons, most recently, those of you that don't know him,
I think that's because they could have gotten back the entire original cast besides James Earl Jones.
But there's something about that. Just mirroring one another, having the old.
No, I agree. Because Scar,
old Mufasa, the old Scar,
getting rid of JTT and Matthew Roderick.
Yeah,
Broderick.
Ferris Bueller.
Yeah, I've Godzilla. Come on. But getting rid of those two, cool. I understand, and keeping James Earl Jones. You know what I mean? Like, I understand replacing this cast and keeping James Earl Jones. Scar, I agree, would have been a nice, like, synergy. If I can quote George Lucas, it's like poetry. It rhymes. It would have been nice. But I don't know one way or the other on this.
Scar's voice is not as iconic as that Mufasa. It's just like, one day all this will be your. I mean, but. I think his voice is pretty really
iconic.
I mean, to say he's not as iconic as James Earl Jones Mufasa, that's like saying that Aaron Rodgers isn't as good as Tom Brady. Sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's still pretty damn good.
I want Scar to kind of be that sleazy kind of Scar, but I mean, it's
not that Chiwetel can't do that. It's just that we know that Jeremy Irons can.
I just need to go into open mind. Do we know? Is Danny Glover playing
Donald Glover?
I'm sorry, Donald Glover. Wait,
Danny Glover's Lethal Weapon.
Yeah. Donald Glover. Excuse me. Donald Glover, is he playing?
Which is not his dad.
Is he playing? Right, no relation. Is he playing young and old Simba?
I think so.
Okay.
Which I can see him doing both.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I
see him more as young Simba, I think.
Yeah.
But I can see him doing both. Now.
That's what I was. Who's playing Timon?
I don't know.
Pumbaa is Seth Rogen. Zazu is John Oliver. Who's Timon?
I don't know. Look it up.
Somebody. Okay.
While you're looking it up, those of you that don't know Jeremy Irons, he is most recently Alfred in Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice.
That's right, yeah.
And he will be Alfred in the upcoming Justice League movie out this November. I thought that would... But the voice casting... Every time I've seen an announcement, Andrew just ran through them. I've been really excited about him. So who is it, Andrew?
Billy Eicher? I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
I don't know who that is. If I saw him, I guess I would.
He was on Parks and Rec. He's
Billy on the Street.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Abby loves Billy.
Yeah,
she DVRs Billy on the Street, which is a great show. That's perfect. So
yeah, I think that's great, Timon.
All right, let's go ahead. You just brought up George Lucas. Speaking of George Lucas, Star Wars Episode 9, The Last Jedi, even though he's not involved. John Boyega. It's going to be Episode 9, won't it? Will it?
Last Jedi is 8.
Let's be Episode 8.
Yeah.
Sorry. Star Wars, even though they're not naming them episodes now, but still. Like, it doesn't, when you look at the crawl on, maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. You would know.
On Force Awakens, when it does the crawl, it does say Episode 7.
Okay.
It just wasn't marketed as Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. And this is
just a Star Wars
Episode
Awakens.
8, The Last Jedi. But I'm sure it will say that on the crawl.
Better.
But it will.
Or I will demand my money back.
John Boyega came out today and he said that of course, they famously had to rewrite parts of the script when Carrie Fisher passed away because she is going to be a big part in Colin Trevorrow's episode 9, which is coming out in 2019. John Boyega says that the way that they send Carrie Fisher out from a story context, she gets a grand ending and a grand finale.
Okay.
I don't know if that means she'll be killed in a sacrifice. I kind of hope not. I don't know if that'd be in the best taste.
Should go out like Obi-Wan.
Maybe. Who knows? But, I mean...
sacrifices herself to Kylo.
What do you think about this kind of reworking the script to give her a grandiose exit from Star Wars? The right thing to do, or should they... It sounds like they couldn't have went with the original script.
The idea, from what... Of course, this is all rumors because they're very tight-lipped about this stuff. But the idea was that she was supposedly a big part of Episode 9.
Yeah.
And...
like the way Han Solo was a big part of Episode 7.
So,
so it was supposed to be Han's Episode 7, big deal. Luke's Episode 8, big deal. Should have been of the big 3, the big part of 9.
I can't imagine you need to write Leia out somehow. I can't imagine that they can just do Episode 9 and not mention her and keep Episode 8
Unless
the same.
she's killed on screen.
Unless she was killed already, yeah. But my point is, like, I'm fine either way. Like, I trust them to do it right. But if they didn't feel the need to change it, I also would have been fine with that.
Well, in The Force Awakens, they Starkiller Base destroys Hosnian Prime, which is where the new Galactic Senate is located. It sounds like Jerry on here, Barbecue 17.
Nerd.
But one of the rumors circulating is that she'll go to head up the creation somewhere of a new Galactic Senate, maybe even on Coruscant again.
How many senates
which
do
I
we
think
need?
would be kind of cool because she's off screen doing something, but you're not having to kill her at the same time.
It's an illegal Senate, I think. I'm actually starting to get the First Order now.
Okay.
What are we, Space Venezuela?
Speaking of the First Order, Kylo Ren in that featurette preview, he has kind of a different mask, and I'm digging it. That being said, I'm ready for a new trailer for this movie. I know you have not even watched the first one, but...
No, or that behind-the-scenes thing they put out.
All the Star Wars stuff has been bad mojo here with all that Han Solo stuff. That just sounds like a shit show based on the whole Kathleen Kennedy, Lord and Miller. But I don't want to get into that. I got into that on a confirmed Epic comeback on YouTube. Go check that out. Let's go ahead and close out Epic News this week with a discussion on the very short teaser trailer for a film that is getting a lot of rumored love for Best Picture. Darren Aronofsky's Mother, starring Javier Bardem, Ed Harris, and of course Academy Award winner Jennifer Lawrence. In addition, Michelle Pfeiffer.
What brings you to us?
Well, they told me I could find a room here.
He thought we were at a bed and breakfast.
He's a stranger.
Hello.
Did you know he had a wife? Who are these people?
They've come here to see me.
Come quick! You're insane! God help you.
Javier Bardem, also a Best Picture nominee and winner. No Country for Old Men, the Coen brothers. I believe he won Best Actor that year. 2008 Oscars, 2007 release for No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
But Andrew Stokes, very short trailer here, but very, as you would like to say, interesting trailer. Is this on your radar now? Are you excited for this film?
Well, I'm a big fan of the video game, so I think this looks like a faithful adaptation.
Video game, Mother?
Oh, is this not? Oh, this is something different. Okay. There is some like Japanese video game called Mother, or which is Earthbound.
There was
over
also
here.
Mama, which was directed by the guy, what's his name, Muschietti, who's doing the It remake. Is that director? That Mama.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I do.
Produced by Guillermo del Toro. All right. So,
what was your question? I forgot. I made my stupid
is this
joke.
on your radar now? After seeing the cast, hearing the buzz, the poster, the teaser.
Yeah, because I've been hearing about it for a little while. I keep hearing the name of this movie, and I think like I was, I've been focused on summer. I haven't really, other than things that have been thrown in my face, like Last Jedi and Thor, I haven't really been too worried about what else is coming out later on. So I'm glad to have finally gotten to see this trailer. Didn't even know Jennifer Lawrence was involved, which, I'm a big fan of hers. So, yeah, it's definitely on my radar. I'm super excited for it now.
When I heard about the description of the movie, it sounded like, this is going to be a really artsy kind of best picture push. But when I see...
It could still be, even after watching the trailer, it could still be that.
It almost looks like a horror movie or a crime mystery.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's kind of exciting. We really don't know too much about it.
I love it.
But it's coming out September 15th. Like, I don't need to see another trailer for this. I want to go see it.
Yeah, I'm not super hyped, but yeah, I've seen enough already to be like, yep, I'm gonna put this on my to-watch list.
And you kind of alluded to it, and you brought it up in our pre-show. Who would have ever thought that making a top 10 most anticipated films list of fall and winter is going to be tough?
Yeah, I'm actually going to have to narrow it down to 10 instead of trying to find 10 films I'm slightly interested in.
And we're going to talk. I want to bring this up at the end of our Baby Driver review. I'm starting to maybe realize we're over the midway point of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
This is maybe the best year for movies of my life since I've been following cinema closely since 2006.
Yeah.
And that's something we can talk about down the road. But
yeah, I don't think any film I've seen so far this year is going to be like one of my favorites of all time. But like the whole year has just been like solid. There may
I got two this year that's going to be two of my favorite movies of all time.
Okay.
Maybe one. I'll say three because one I'm going to hear about from now to the end of time because it's one of my wife's now favorites of all time, and Wonder Woman. But
okay.
So September 15th, Darren Aronofsky got a lot of Best Picture hype. Mother, looking forward to that.
I don't know. So I'm already self-doubting myself because Guardians Volume 2, probably one of my favorite Marvel films, like right up there in the top 5. Maybe my
War for the Planet of the Apes will be a movie that I'll never forget.
I think I'll remember the trilogy more so than just that specific one.
Yeah.
But I totally agree.
But with that being the culmination,
you still haven't seen Get Out, right?
No.
See, Get Out was great.
I'm gonna watch that.
Get Out, I'll watch again. I haven't gotten around to it.
Is it an anthology movie?
No. It's a solid story.
That may be something that we could look into.
I would love for Get Out to be nominated for Best Picture. Honestly,
it could be. That would be crazy because it came out
it's
January or February.
It's a very crazy. It came out. I think. Oh, maybe. I don't remember. I saw it in March. I don't remember when it came out. It would be a very weird movie to be nominated for Best Picture if you watch it.
But it says a lot about race relations, even though it's a horror movie from what I hear. So
yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and get into our rapid fire segment for this week. TGIF. Andrew, something that was a staple of our childhood, along with a lot of 90s kids and late 80s kids like ourselves, is coming to Hulu. Let me clarify, not a new TGIF, but they're going to run them in blocks like they did back in the day. I don't know if this is going to be...
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's not a new TGIF. So
let's
say the first TGIF was Friday, September 9th, 1991. That's a bullshit number. Like, whatever came on first, that's what they'll air first. So that episode of Step by Step, that episode of Family Matters, that episode of Full House.
Would they release them episode by episode?
Yeah, I think it's going to be like TGIF block number 1, then TGIF block number 2. Not just the shows.
Really? Okay,
yeah.
So I saw...
From my reading of this news, that's the way I read it.
I saw was Full House, Family Matters, etc. coming to Hulu. I just assumed... they're releasing them as shows.
I don't know if they're going to be like, because you're more familiar with Hulu than I am, like if they're going to be like, here's TGI Block 1, or if they're going to release them every Friday when they come out, or what?
I'm a bit of a control freak, so I like having the option of, I just want to watch Full House. But
I'm sure you'll be able to. Sure. I don't know. I mean, maybe not right away.
But it's funny though because that's what I was gonna say. I actually want to watch random episodes to kind of get that feeling of.
Oh, I hope they have the graphics and TGIF. Like, oh man,
we'll see
that
about
would be
that.
So cool.
But it's funny.
Mean, they better. What's the point of doing it?
It's still the shows.
Yeah, which just is weird to me going to Full House because Fuller House is on Netflix. It's an exclusive. And I've been waiting for the announcement of, here's all of
Full House coming to Netflix.
That announcement has not come yet, but we get this, that a big part of TGIF was Full House, so that will be on there.
It's Full House. So what are the 4 shows coming right now? Full House, Family Matters.
There's a bunch. There's Full House. There's Family Matters. There's Step by Step.
Okay.
There's Boy Meets World. There's Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Okay.
Remember that one?
I do, yeah.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Was that TGIF?
That was near the end. That was like 97, 98.
I always
the end of
I always
TGIF.
remember it as like a Fox rerun show.
I feel like I'm missing one. Wonder Years was not TGIF. It was
Fresh Prince?
No, Fresh Prince was NBC, so TGIF was ABC.
yeah.
So no, and even though Wonder Years was ABC, it was a Tuesday night show.
Yeah.
I know that because it was my favorite show of all time, and my dad's favorite show of all time. So
I think Full House and Family Matters are the two I'm really excited for. The other ones I didn't really watch too much.
I would get Hulu just for this because I don't have Hulu. I have Amazon Prime and Netflix in addition to all this DirecTV bullshit. And I got to have another story with them I won't get into on this episode.
Thank goodness.
But I just want to watch every episode of Family Matters with the Transformation Chamber. All the Stefan, all the Bruce Lee episode. Like
I forgot about that.
Just
skip to the very last season and just watch that craziness unfold.
Speaking of craziness, Gotham season 4 will premiere on Fox Thursday, September 21st. Don't care.
Then why are you mentioning it?
I mean, I figure people listening to this podcast do.
Maybe.
Blade Runner 2049 will not have narration like the original cut. Now, the ultimate cut or I think it's called it's not the director's, the final cut, which is supposed to be the definitive Blade Runner cut. They cut it out of that, the narration.
So in the original movie, there was narration?
Yes,
okay.
From Harrison Ford voiceover. Okay. Let's see. It will be 135 minutes long. It's out September 7th, and it is set up as part 1 of a 2-part story.
Oh, I don't know if I like that.
Well, part 2 is they come back as adults to take care of it.
So there's going to be It 2?
Yeah, there's going to be 2 It's. Which make the book does this, but it goes back and forth between the timelines.
Right. I was wondering watching the trailers, are they focusing just on the kids version? Like I don't know the story that well, so I don't know if they could do that.
You haven't read it.
But it was like, right, I haven't read it. I know I've seen the miniseries, don't remember it other than it gave me nightmares when I was a child. So I was wondering, are we going to see the adult people in any of these trailers? But apparently have they even cast them?
No. I'm excited about this, though. I mean,
I see already that's deflating some of my hype for this movie.
What, you wanted it just to be?
I just wanted, especially you just said
it's too much though. It was a TV miniseries. Like this is
135 minutes.
This is just the kids, and it's 135 minutes.
Now,
this would be a 4-hour movie with the adult stuff.
Do you think It Part 2 should stand on its own? Should I have to watch Part 1 to understand what's going on in Part 2?
Yes, because it's a movie and that's different. But
well, I mean, Avengers is a movie.
I'm not getting back into that. So, Arrested Development Season 5 will be hitting Netflix in 2018. They start filming August 8th.
I still never saw Season 4.
Real? Well, there's only one good episode you should watch, and it's...
is it Job?
No, it's when Michael goes back
in
to
time?
school with George Michael.
No, that sounds funny.
It's really funny. They shot it where you could watch them out of order. It was a non-linear timeline.
Right, that's what I heard, yeah.
Did not work.
Okay.
For whatever reason. Now, if you telling me that when I heard
it worked scheduling-wise, I imagine.
Oh, yeah. But this is going to be cool. Like, if any show can pull this off, it's Arrested Development.
Yeah.
But it didn't.
Season 5, are they going back to the old format?
Yeah. They're all together.
Okay.
So that's got me excited to see all the blues together. Hans Zimmer has stepped on board to help score Blade Runner 2049. He is the John Williams of this generation, so I'm really excited about that. Andrew Stokes.
Yeah, awesome.
Flash Season 4 will feature the Elongated Man. I know you're excited about this being caught up on all the DC CW shows.
Now, will I have to have watched Season 3 of Flash to understand Elongated Man?
I don't think so.
Thank goodness.
I don't think you will.
I hate that.
That would be a stretch.
Oh, that was fair. That was fair. You get my applause for that.
Nightmare Before Christmas is getting a comic book sequel out in spring 2018.
It's called Nightmare Before Easter.
It's going to focus on Zero, the ghost dog, though. Which
yeah, that sounds about right.
It's like, why? They might as well just keep this in the can till the next Halloween or next Christmas.
Why don't they just do a Zero prequel?
This shit's gonna be a movie.
Zero prequel. The whole point of the series is a dog dies at the end.
The prequel that was Frankenweenie. That was the Zero prequel.
Have you seen Frankenweenie?
Dude, one of my favorite Tim Burton movies.
I've heard it's good. Yeah,
I cried my freaking eyes out. Abby and I went and saw that when we were dating. In all fairness, my family.
It was your first date.
No,
and she almost didn't call you
back. My
back.
family's teacup poodle had died recently.
Okay, yeah.
And then I saw Frankenweenie and I was bawling. Sounded like with Marley and Me. So Abby and I and Evan were watching Marley and Me.
Oh man.
So Abby had an elderly dog at the time, and it was like 14. Holly, God rest her soul, ended up living 17 and a half years, crying her eyes out at the end of Marley and Me. So was Evan. I'm not crying. I was upset.
Really?
And I cried everything.
I've cried.
I was welling up, right?
I've cried at movies before. I cried during Marley and Me.
Yeah.
Like I had tears multiple coming down my
face. A week later, my dog dies. And Holly ended up, I'm glad she did, living like 2.5 more years. Let's see. Director of The Shallows, Jamoon Colette Sarah. Maybe mispronouncing that. That's my best shot.
Maybe.
Has passed on Suicide Squad 2.
I thought that was, you said passed on, and for a second there I was like, wait, what? Okay.
Yeah.
So that does not want to do Suicide Squad 2.
He was in talks. They about had a done deal, and he backed out. Yeah. That's probably not a good sign. DC,
if you can't get The Shallows director for your big blockbuster
I
film.
got a suggestion. Go get the director of the shark movie that was out this past
47
summer.
meters,
yeah,
whatever.
47 meters.
I have a better suggestion. Abort, DC. Abort while you still can.
Yeah, I don't think we necessarily need a Suicide Squad.
We already have Harley in the Birds of Prey movie.
Yeah, it's called Gotham City Sirens.
Okay, so
which is also rumored to be abandoned. David Ayers said he was out.
That's unfortunate.
It didn't come to San Diego Comic-Con with the panel.
Yeah.
And then to respond that he may be out, he tweeted a picture of Harley Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
What a definitive answer, David Ayers.
Go
ahead.
They need to stick her in something else then. I liked Harley Quinn from that.
Oh, yeah, that was the best thing from that movie, for sure. And I didn't hate Jared Leto's Joker. Did not hate.
All right, let's continue.
Let's see. Marvel, which we mentioned last week, will be in Captain Marvel out March 8th, 2019.
He'll die in the first 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, it will be marvelous. Gorilla Grodd is confirmed for Legends of Tomorrow Season 3. I hope he's a member of the Wave Rider crew.
Now.
God, I hope so.
Now. Do I need to have watched Flash to appreciate Season 3 of Legends of Tomorrow? That sounds awful. What if I just wanted to pick up Legends of Tomorrow Season 3?
The plot's so not involved in Legends of Tomorrow, you probably could.
You probably could, yeah, from what I understand.
Imagine just the Captain Rip Hunter.
Wave Runner is the good guys, right?
Yeah, that's the ship of the
It's been a while since I've seen
the Wave Rider.
Right.
Right.
The Wave Runner.
But
it's Gorilla Grodd on a Wave Runner.
Dude, can you imagine Rip Hunter, who I just absolutely adore in Season 2 of Legends? I like one of my favorite DC characters now. Can you imagine him giving Grodd orders? Grodd, quit throwing that fishy.
Surely he's going to be a bad guy, right?
You didn't watch the last season of Flash, so I don't think so, Andrew Stokes.
Wow, okay.
With that being said, that wraps it up for this edition of Rapid Fire. Let's go ahead and get into our featured review of this week, which is Edgar Wright's Baby Driver.
So you just starting your day, or did you just get off?
They call, I go, you know.
So what is it you do?
I'm a driver.
Oh, like a chauffeur. Anyone I'd know?
I hope not.
What is your name?
Baby.
Your name's Baby. B-A-B-Y, Baby.
This one you say listen to the music all the time?
Is he mental?
Mental meaning slow. Was he slow?
No.
He had an accident when he was a kid. Still has a hum in the drum. Plays music to drown it out. And that's what makes him the best.
One more job and I'm done.
One more job, and we're straight.
Now, I don't think I need to give you the speech about what happens when you say no, how I could break your legs and kill everyone you love, because you already know that, don't you?
Yeah.
The moment you catch feelings is the moment you catch a bullet.
And your waitress girlfriend, she's cute. Let's keep it that way.
I want us to head west and never stop.
You in?
I'm in, baby.
Andrew Stokes, let's go ahead and start our Baby Driver review like we do all of our reviews now on the Confirmed Epic podcast and get into some stats on the film. Baby Driver, of course, was directed by Edgar Wright, had music by Stephen Price, but meticulously chosen by Edgar Wright. Soundtrack, regardless of how you feel about the film, is phenomenal. I mentioned earlier I ordered the vinyl. That should be here tomorrow via Amazon Prime. And what's really cool is for this poster, for the vinyl, Mondo artist Roy Kurtz did the artwork, who's become a big Mondo guy with The Graduate and Clockwork Orange prints. So that was really cool. Andrew Stokes. It stars Kevin Spacey, John Hamm, Jamie Foxx, for a brief time, John Bernthal, Ansel Elgort, who plays Baby. He was rumored to be Han Solo for a long time. Of course, they went with the guy from Hell Caesar. He's known for, the Divergent franchise and Paper Towns, a few kind of YA adaptations.
Yeah.
Lily James, who plays Deborah in the film, the love interest. It was a Sony movie, which, considering how I felt about the film, surprised me.
Yeah.
It was released June 28, 2017. We're a little late to this one. This is one we've been wanting to review all summer. I think you and I were both really happy it was still in theaters. 113 minutes is the running time. It is rated R. 95% on RT as of this morning when we were recording this podcast. So one of the best reviewed movies, not just of the summer, but of the year. $34 million budget, 24.5 in this opening weekend domestically, 34.6 million with this foreign box office today. So we're to a grand total of $87.1 million domestically, $121.7 million worldwide. So Andrew Stokes, let's go ahead and get into our Baby Driver review. Of course, like most of our reviews, there'll be a spoiler section and a non-spoiler section. So non-spoiler section review for Baby Driver starting now.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and start out with a few opening questions before we get into your thoughts and my thoughts on this film.
Okay.
Are you an Edgar Wright fan? If so, what has been your favorite Edgar Wright movie so far? So let me remind you, he did the Cornetto trilogy, which is Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, At World's End. Of course, he adapted the manga Scott Pilgrim, which was one of his movies.
Yeah.
So that's his 4 movies going into Baby Driver, which is his 5th feature-length directorial gig. So what is your thoughts on him?
I don't think I've seen At World's End.
Really? Because that's my favorite of all his movies.
I think it's cliche, but my favorite's probably Shaun of the Dead.
That movie was so big. Like when it came out in 04 or 05. I think it was 05.
Probably.
I just remember when we were in high school, that movie was freaking huge.
See, I don't really remember. I don't think I saw it until after high school.
Really?
Like right after high school. We graduated in 05, so like.
But maybe it was the summer after we graduated. I think maybe that was a spring release. I can't remember. But go ahead.
And but like it was just one of the I've seen it multiple times since then, and that's why I'd heard about it before I'd ever seen it, but that's when I finally got exposed to it, was after high school.
The rewatchability of that movie is just tenfold. I mean, his most collaboration comes with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, the two comedians. He's known for being a comedic director, and Baby Driver isn't a comedic film. It's an action movie. Well, / love story, if you will.
It's comedic, too.
It has comedy beats, but I wouldn't classify it as like an action comedy like I would Rush Hour or something like that. Maybe more in the vein of a Lethal Weapon, which has comedy, but is more action-driven.
I guess. I mean, it's definitely more lighthearted than like Die Hard or something.
Oh, yeah, for sure. World's End, At World's End is my favorite because it's the most grounded, even though it has to do with like invaders from another world.
Yeah.
It revolves around them getting together and doing a pub crawl across England that they've been wanting to complete as lifelong friends. And one of the friends, this is in the beginning of the movie, passes away.
Okay.
And kind of to get together as a tribute to him, they go through this pub crawl. And it's the first hour is like really grounded as friends catching up. They're all at different points in their life.
Yeah.
And Simon Pegg's like, you know, the partier of the group, the guy that never really, he's the Evan True Love of their group. And it's just fun to see him in relation to these other guys who some have been divorced, some have kids.
Yeah.
They're all at different stages. So that's my favorite. I think Shaun of the Dead or Scott Pilgrim are most people's favorite of his movies. Obviously, Scott Pilgrim, very different, especially from a visual point, which Edgar Wright, I think, is a visual genius, even in Baby Driver, and we can talk about that. So, a lot of critical hype going into this movie.
Yeah.
95%, as we said on RT. Does it live up to this critical hype? What was your initial impressions on Baby Driver?
After seeing the movie?
Yeah.
I think it continues the trend of 2017, where things are overrated.
Really?
Yeah.
I was thinking you were like, another great movie, the trend of 2017. I'm going glass half full there.
I'm not to say this is a bad movie, or I didn't enjoy this movie.
Which we're not
but
rating
I think it was a little overrated, a little overhyped going into this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
See,
I know you're high on this movie.
I don't want to kind of give away what I'm going to rate this.
Yeah.
But this is a dead tie for my favorite movie of the year.
Yeah.
With War for the Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
And I love that Apes trilogy.
Yeah.
I love War so much. And I may like this even better.
Wow.
Which I put off going. I tried to see this movie so many times, Andrew Stokes, like 7 times.
Yeah.
And finally I committed to it once we decided last week we were going to review it for the podcast. So it wasn't like I was chomping at the bit to go see it.
Yeah.
But once I sat down and that opening scene ensued, that opening car chase, I was like hooked.
Yeah.
Like I began to just adore this movie. I call this the movie it reminds me of the most is Back to the Future.
Okay.
Which I don't make this comparison lightly because Back to the Future is my probably 6th or 7th favorite movie ever. And I love the second one. And the third one's okay. You know, it's good, but it's still a really good movie. To me, when I think of Back to the Future, the first thing I think about is not Doc Brown, not the DeLorean, it's Jamie Foxx as Marty McFly. And a lot of podcasters and film critics have always said, I never could see anybody else in that role because there was a guy by the name of Eric Stoltz. Do you know him?
The name rings a bell.
Exactly. We don't really know who that guy is, but he was originally cast as Marty McFly. Got on the set. Robert Zemeckis famously is like, this ain't working.
Yeah, he filmed a lot of scenes,
Yeah,
right?
he did.
Yeah,
he filmed a lot of scenes, and it just wasn't working. So they brought in Michael J. Fox, and the rest, as we say, is history. And so many people, including Zemeckis, is like, I couldn't see anybody else in this role.
Yeah.
That's the way I felt about El Gort in this movie.
Really?
I thought he was this generation's Marty McFly. Like, I thought he was that memorable of a character. It was an original film, an original premise.
Yeah.
I know it's a heist movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not. What I mean by that is not like unlike Scott Pilgrim, which was based on a manga. It's not an adaptation, exactly,
or a sequel, or a reboot, or
which we live in that world now, where if there's one of those movies that come out, it catches your attention, an original project.
Yeah.
Much less if it's well received critically, it really catches you. Whether you like this or not, it caught your attention when you're like, oh, it's an original movie. It's 95% on RT.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of hype. I know it caught your attention. But I love this movie, man. So we're going to get into spoilers, obviously. Just kind of initially, why do you feel that this film is overrated. I know it can't be from a performance perspective.
Sure. I just think it starts off really good, and by the end, it has not backed up where it started. I
kind of agree with you in a sense of this movie never matched the opening scene.
Yeah.
But that opening scene was the epic scene.
Sure.
That was an iconic
that's
scene.
The part that hooks you in, and then you're waiting for the rest, and it's there, but it's just not.
Well, I mean, you could argue that the opening scene of Jaws is the best scene of that whole movie.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean the rest of the movie shit. It just means that
but it's
iconic
disappointing.
Imagery was no. The rest of the Jaws is not disappointing.
I'm saying that idea. I'm not sure I agree with you.
Yeah.
About Jaws. But I'm saying I think that's kind of you expect a film to surpass where you began. I mean, that's just the opening scene of a film.
No, I understand that. You expect it to build and meet its culmination in the climax.
Yeah, exactly.
But there are some movies in which the opening scene is so well done. There's a lot of James Bond movies, because it's a Bond trope to have that incredible opening action set piece to hook you.
Sure.
And a lot of times, especially in Quantum of Solace, most famously that we brought up last week's pod, the movie never lives up to that.
Okay.
See, I thought the opening scene was, if we're like rating that scene, it's epic.
Yeah.
I think you would even agree with that.
Yeah.
But I would say maybe the rest of the movie is great and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Or great. I mean, obviously, it's just my opinion. We'll give a overall rating at the end of the movie. And I was just really trying to think about, and maybe I'm missing something, so I feel like I am.
Yeah.
So help me out here. But really good original movies that we've had within the past decade or so. So I thought of Inception.
Jeez.
I thought of Drive. I thought of The Town. It's another heist movie. Ben Affleck wrote and directed that movie, and he was starring in it as well with Jeremy Renner.
Yeah.
But off the top of my head, those were like the great to epic original movies of the past decade. I don't know why I felt. Do you know what I'm forgetting? Because you're smiling.
I'm thinking of one that
and I think it's probably what it's on the tip of my brain.
It's technically original, but nobody would claim this as an original film.
All right, hit
me. It would be Avatar.
Yeah.
It's not an adaptation.
It's not a
sequel. It's technically, but a lot of people, it's just Fern Gully. It's gone with Smurfs. It's blah blah blah.
And Avatar, I thought was a good movie, but I didn't.
It's definitely one of the epics of this past decade, though.
From a money making standpoint, from a visual standpoint, absolutely. From a story standpoint, I would disagree.
Right,
but the Slash Filmcast has had a debate about, like, it's one of their running kind of arguments is that movie culturally relevant? Because you have half the guys on there who think, or one guy on there who absolutely adores Avatar and thinks it is.
That'd be me.
And the other two are like, no. But
culturally relevant isn't today.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm like this. It's been so long, and like we're still the sequel. Is it still even under production?
Here's the thing. I've just brought up Back to the Future. I bring up Back to the Future. Anybody can get into a discussion with me about the plot of that movie.
Yeah.
Most people know who Doc Brown or Marty McFly is.
Yeah.
If I go up to 3 people in Food Line, I bet maybe one of them can name a character from Avatar.
Okay.
But I bet you 2 of the 3, if not all 3, can at least tell me, oh, the Doc. Or Michael J. Fox, at least.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean from
sure.
like cultural relevance. But different discussion for a different day. I made the...
I bet you more people can name unobtainium from Avatar than can name a character, probably.
Now, I made this kind of lofty comparison of El Gort to Marty McFly.
Yeah.
Michael J. Fox's legendary career-defining role. What were your thoughts on him in this movie?
I'm not as high in this character as you are. I don't think this character is that as memorable. The character's cool. He has this, he has this nice flow to him. You know what I mean?
I think what Wright does with the character and how he incorporates the soundtrack into what's the name of the disorder the young man has? It starts with a T. Tinnitus, I believe, is the name of it, which the the eardrums, because of a traumatic event, have a constant ringing to them. So Baby listens, and this is in the trailer.
Yeah.
Baby listens to music because he has a hum in the drum from
Yeah.
something that happened to him as a child.
Yep.
And I thought how Wright incorporated that into the story.
Yeah.
And the songs into the story, but just not only the emotional performance, but the physical performance that Elgort gives. In particular, right after that opening heist where he's moving around, dancing around.
Yeah.
I just feel like we're going to remember that for a really long time. Now, when I make this comparison to Marty McFly, I'm not saying that Baby is going to be as memorable as Marty McFly. I'm not that big of an idiot. But I'm just saying personally, I had that feeling. He had this outfit that, when you think of Marty McFly, you think of those 80s, kind of acid wash jeans, those tennis shoes, oh my gosh, it looks like a life preserver, but the vest he has, you see that outfit.
Yeah.
And here he has the skinny jeans, but he has this sweatshirt and this, he has a distinct look about him that I thought was
I agree.
aesthetically interesting.
I agree. I think it was aesthetically interesting when we saw it back in the 70s because it looks like he's wearing a Han Solo costume.
Han Solo?
Yeah, Baby Driver, he's like dressed as Han Solo the whole time, it looks like.
When did Han Solo wear a zip-up sweatshirt?
He's not. He's wearing like this vest most of the time. He's wearing like this vest in white, like long sleeve shirt.
I thought it was a zip-up sweatshirt.
I don't know what it was.
Well,
but
I know what you're thinking. So it was one sweatshirt, so it was one piece, but the inside, the body part was black.
Okay.
And then the sleeves were gray. So visually, I guess I could see how
the whole
you could
time
perceive it as a vest.
That's why I was wondering. I was going to ask you because I didn't know this. But you said that he was up for the Han Solo part.
He was.
And I was wondering when this was filmed. After he got turned down for the role, was this like a nod to that somehow? Because that's how much like Han Solo it reminded me of.
Are you talking about just you're obviously talking about just the look. Like,
yeah,
this
we're talking about
costume.
We're talking about costume, yeah.
Okay. I mean, Han Solo doesn't wear skinny jeans.
Han Solo
doesn't wear tennis shoes.
Sure, but the fact that
he had strings on the sweatshirt, too.
Okay,
which
yeah.
I think,
it's not like he went to a Halloween shop and picked out a Han Solo costume. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, the entire time, it reminded me of Han Solo. And, like, it just, I don't know. I wasn't sure if that was intentional from a movie standpoint because he's also, like, this pilot. And Han Solo's this crazy, not necessarily a bad guy, but not with the law type pilot. And you know what I mean? So I wasn't sure if it was intentional or if it was because of the actor. Maybe he was turned down for this part and this is like some sort of like little nod to that. But I definitely thought it was an intentional Han Solo reference.
A nod, referential.
Yeah.
I want to, while we're on this path of nods and being referential, I wanted to get back to Edgar Wright. So,
but I'm saying, but to
Go
this
ahead,
point, that's why I don't consider it, and I'm not gonna see that and think Baby Driver.
Really?
I'm probably gonna see
I understand.
If I saw somebody wearing that on Halloween, I would assume they're not in a costume and they're in some like hipster Han Solo. I'm too lazy for a costume type costume.
But I'm glad you brought that up because two things I want to kind of parlay off of that point.
Okay.
One is, I think, if this movie came out in the 70s, I won't say 60s, but I'll say 70s, 80s, early 90s, I think this is one of the biggest from a cultural standpoint, and maybe even money-making standpoint back then of that decade. It's very memorable. I think in the age of superheroes and Star Wars, and we're in the age of the tentpole right now.
Sure.
I don't know if it quite... Unless you're cinephiles like we are, even if you don't love this movie as much as I do, it stood out critically. I think it maybe stands out more back then and sets itself apart. Whereas here, I feel like this movie was just, I don't think it was forgotten because it definitely was talked about a lot in the critical community. But I mean, I'm not.
It wasn't as hyped as, Spider-Man.
Or Guardians or something like that. Yeah, absolutely. But just to kind of piggyback off your last point, the Han Solo thing, and kind of was this a reference to him not getting that part?
Yeah.
Famously, before the MCU was ever officially confirmed, Edgar Wright was working on an Ant-Man movie.
Yeah.
He said, I don't want this to just be a good superhero movie. I want this to be a good, like, crime story heist film.
Yeah.
And did not. And now this was in the days before James Gunn's Guardians had the success it did.
Yeah.
It wasn't cookie cutter enough for them. It was too much of a risk outside of the MCU formula, which you can argue how boring that could be or can be, but it was working for them financially and critically a lot of times. But I think this is kind of I don't say this word much, but I think this was Edgar Wright's big fuck you to Marvel.
I don't
and
think
Disney.
so. I think it's
like,
just...
all right, I wanted to make this heist movie.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make the most badass Edgar Wright heist movie that I can. And guess what? Marvel, Disney, it's Kevin Feige. It's going to be freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And to me, it was. Mm-hmm. And this is a great heist movie, I think.
Yeah.
And I wrote this in my review. You can find it at the Epic Review, thepicreview.com.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I'm so glad is we didn't get to see Edgar Wright's Ant-Man. Because I don't think this movie happens if he makes Ant-Man.
Yeah, that may be true. There's probably elements that, or definitely ideas that he got while working on that he brought into this. But I definitely don't see this as some sort of like answer to Ant-Man or anything or response.
Well, he has hard feelings with Ant-Man.
Sure.
I don't know if you've heard the Edgar Wright Ant-Man plane story. Have you?
I'm not sure.
I forgot. I heard this on Sight and Sound, so shout out to Jay Williams and Ryan Snelling. Edgar Wright was on a plane, and there was a kid beside him watching Ant-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And he could not watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked, because somebody had asked him in the press rounds for Baby Driver, had he watched it. And he said he went out of the way as to go to the bathroom, face the window, do kind of like how you would do with a Star Wars trailer, just not wanting to see it for this whole movie of this kid watching Ant-Man on an iPod. And he made the comparison so they asked him why he hadn't watched it, and he said, let me put it this way, would you like to watch your ex-girlfriend have sex with her new boyfriend right in front of you? Because this is how much heart and soul I put into my Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Is what he said. And I've watched a lot of interviews with Edgar Wright, and you can say he's artsy or whatever, but he never came across...
Could make that argument.
Yeah, but he never really comes across as pretentious. As much as I like Nolan, I see how you can make the argument in interviews that he could come across as pretentious. Edgar Wright he's got a good sense of humor and stuff to him. So, what were your thoughts on the rest of the cast? Because this is a pretty good cast here. Kevin Spacey, Jamie Foxx.
I think John Hamm. Yeah, he was great in this.
He was.
Kevin Spacey. I mean, everybody was good in this. Everybody did a good job. What was Deborah's name? The actress.
Lily James.
Lily James. What else was she in?
I have no idea, to be honest with you.
Okay.
They had a good chemistry. Her and Baby had a good on-screen chemistry. Now, I'll admit some action she takes later on in the film when Baby's kind of in some deep shit. It kind of made me be like, I don't know if this is believable.
She makes some questionable decisions that really helps the plot conveniently out.
But in the first hour, when they're developing this relationship, it felt authentic to me of like a blooming romance. Like, oh, these are two people that are going to be so much in love to the point that maybe one day they could get married. And this is their first meeting. It felt authentic to me.
It felt a little cheesy to me.
But in the first hour?
But I still liked it, yeah.
Really?
It felt a little cheesy, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's romance sometimes, But it lost itself throughout this film. That lost itself.
In response to that, like, if let's say you're out with a friend and he's just met a girl or whatever, and you're not in a relationship for whatever reason, maybe you just got out of a bad relationship, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then you see your friend just in a love. Like, you're like,
love can be cheesy, man.
I mean, so saying love's cheesy doesn't mean it's, like you said, it's bad. But I will say this, going back to the cast, I'm glad John Bernthal was only in this movie 10 minutes.
You just don't like John Bernthal.
I really don't.
Yeah, see, it's like...
But I mean, he was chewing that scenery hard.
Sure.
Which, I get that was kind of probably
everybody was chewing scenery as soon as they opened their mouth. It's almost, you know what I mean? Like,
I don't think Baby was.
He's like the only one. He's almost like
he's reserved.
Yeah, exactly. He almost stands out because he's not chewing the scenery.
Deborah's not chewing scenery, but everybody else, yeah. Jamie Foxx is bats.
Yeah,
that is bat shit.
Yeah,
he, like as Jerry would say, there were teeth marks on the film.
Yeah.
He was chewing the scenery so hard, man.
Buddy
Bats. What was the girl's name?
That's what I'm trying to remember.
I can't remember her name.
Yeah.
I got it. It's somewhere here, written down in my show notes. I'll come back to it here. But Spacey's reserved, I think. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's a caricature, for sure. But he's more reserved than the other people in the group. Like, he has this way about him, and this is classic Spacey. He does this a lot in House of Cards.
Yeah.
Of reserved intensity. Like, I'm talking to you calm as shit.
Yeah.
But I will freaking kill you.
Yeah, when he's on the screen.
If it comes down to it.
When he's on the screen, he takes up the whole screen metaphorically, you know?
Yeah. He does. I mean, he is one of those larger-than-life actors.
Yeah.
Like, he's one of the biggest living actors right now, and who's still putting out, doing work in Hollywood. Let's see. The soundtrack, just before we get into spoilers, because this is something we can talk about. What'd you think? Did you think, because it sounds like that, and correct me if I'm wrong, the feelings you have about this movie is the kind of what I had with Dunkirk the first time I saw it, and it's Nolan unhinged. That almost this is like Edgar Wright unhinged, and that may be a little too much for you.
Possibly, I'm not sure that's my thought, but I can definitely see that, and maybe that is some of my reservations on the film. I mean, it is Edgar Wright doing what Edgar Wright wants.
I would say what a risk for Sony, but I mean, I mean,
what was the budget for this film?
I think it was like $30 million.
Okay,
35 million, and I mean it's already like doubled that, tripled that actually.
Yeah.
So this is a critical success.
Yeah,
it's a financial success.
Yeah.
Would you recommend people go see it? Would you recommend people check it out on Blu-ray or Redbox or on demand?
Dunkirk, going back to that, I'd recommend in theaters probably.
Oh yeah.
Just some of the sounds, this is I'd definitely recommend Baby Driver as well.
With that being said, let's go ahead and roll the reel forward and get into spoilers for Edgar Wright's Baby Driver, starting now. A.K.A. Andrew Stokes, I think you want to start us out in spoilers for Baby Driver.
So I have a confession to make.
You did not see this movie.
I have seen this movie. I haven't seen the whole movie.
What?
Now, I have seen the whole movie for the most part.
What happened?
So while I'm watching this film, there's a storm raging outside.
When did you go see this, by the way?
This past Friday.
Okay.
There's a storm raging outside. I didn't really hear it until the power shuts off, the movie cuts off, and then I'm like, oh, that wasn't sound effects from a movie next door. This is a storm outside that's pounding us right now.
There's a storm coming.
So, but I was with somebody who had already seen the movie. They said...
Who'd you go with?
I went with, shout out to my friend Jonathan. He hadn't seen the movie. I went with him.
I hope he listens to the Confirmed.
He does. That's why I'm giving a shout out to him. He's one of my friends that actually comes back and talks to me. Oh, yeah, listen to this.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I saw it with two other people that he brought that I think he's related to one of them, but I'm not 100% sure.
That was his wife.
I didn't get formal introductions. But it was the guy he brought with him that said he had already seen it. And from what I understand, there was like less than 30 seconds left of the film. We're in spoiler, so I'll go ahead and just ask you about it. Basically, the part I had seen is Baby comes out of jail. Deborah's waiting on him. It's all black and white. She's standing next to this car. Then it turns color.
Yeah.
And that's where it cuts off. Supposedly they just get in the car and drive down the road.
And that is actually one of the things I want to talk about in the spoiler discussion.
But so I saw the whole movie. Yeah. Okay.
There is debate.
Actually, shout out to our local AMC. Even though I told them there was basically nothing left, but because we didn't feel like waiting around because they had to like restart each theater, they gave us a free ticket to come back. So I actually wound up seeing Dunkirk for free because of that.
You pulled a double feature that day.
Yeah, which is like the third time I've done that this year.
That's crazy. I hadn't done that in a while. Well, I think maybe the last time I did that was The Happening and Incredible Hulk in 2008. Neither one of those was all that great, but one of the big debates about this movie
and The Incredible Hulk.
I think you were there for one of those.
Probably.
One of the big debates is the end a dream or not? There's an argument that, let's just say he gets caught, he spends time in jail. 5 years is what I gathered that he spent in jail.
Yeah.
Because he had a parole hearing in 5 years based on the fact of his good character by key witness, as evidenced by key witnesses in Baby's trial after they get caught at the end. And the fact that I think it goes from black and white to color leads me to believe that it did happen.
Yeah.
There are those people that think it didn't happen, that it was in Baby's head, that he's still in jail. Again, I think this adds to the lore of this movie because it's something that you can debate with friends, and it's probably something that Edgar Wright won't clarify.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah,
How do you read that?
I didn't think it was a dream, and probably for that same reason. One, probably because as soon as the movie cuts out, I realize it's storming, and I'm not really thinking about the movie anymore. I'm like, oh, what's going on? But also because you said, he is having like these daydreams. It feels like in jail about, I wish we could have taken this road trip, and then when he comes out, it still feels dream-like. But then it fades into color, and it's like, nope, this is here. She's really here. She's really with this car. You know, they're getting ready to go and live this life that they should have. So or that we hope they would have.
Let's bring this discussion from the end of the film back to the beginning of our Baby Driver discussion.
Okay.
The movie never reaches the heights of that opening chase scene. I agree. But at the same time, I thought the chase scene of Baby on foot, while not as good as that opening scene, was still very well done, very well shot.
Yeah.
It was intense. There's a lot of stakes involved just because of what could happen with he and Deborah, his foster father, who is also deaf.
Yeah.
And they sign, and I don't know, the movies where people sign this year with War of the Planet of the Apes and this, I'm really into this, man. I don't know why, but
okay.
What'd you think of that closing scene? Most notably, what went through your head when that pipe or whatever went through Jamie Foxx's body? Because I was like, holy shit.
That was awesome. I'm trying to figure out how is he going to get out of this situation, because you want him so badly to not be a criminal, you know what I mean? To like get away with it almost, like to get out of this world and get in a car with Deborah and just go. And so like everything's falling apart at this point. And you're like, how is he going to get out of this? And it just begins this long like action sequence of chasing, and it's just great.
He is a criminal.
Yeah.
He never feels like a criminal. Like even at the post office, so the final heist is them going into a post office and stealing money orders that they're going to transfer to cash. And he had been there to scout the place out with Kevin Spacey and Kevin Spacey's nephew before.
How great was that little kid, man?
He was great.
That was awesome.
He reminded me of the kid in Disney's The Kid. I can't remember that actor's name.
Macaulay Culkin.
No, it wasn't Macaulay Culkin. But so there's a sweet lady working at the post office.
Yeah.
And he sees her walking into work, and he's like, no, don't go in. So his empathy gets in the way of the heist.
Yeah.
I was so scared Jamie Foxx was going to kill her.
Yeah.
Because he kills the security guard that she goes and gets.
Yeah.
And there he makes a decision to, screw this, I'm going to kill this guy, Bats.
Yeah.
And that was an intense scene. Now, you almost, in some spots, you forget this movie's rated R. Then something will happen where it'll be like, oh crap, we're in a rated R like action movie here, action comedy.
Yeah,
if you want to put it that way.
Yeah, the rating definitely felt like it was rated R because that's what the movie needed to be. Not that there was like gratuitous stuff that they went out to make a rated R movie per se. You know?
Yeah, when I walked out of this movie, I did two things. I called Will Maney. I wanted to get, because I couldn't talk to you about it because we're going to do this podcast.
Yeah.
And
naturally,
I wanted his thoughts on the film, and because I walked out thinking this may have been the best movie I saw all year, and he wasn't as high on it as me. Kind of seems like he's more in your camp as far as his critique of Baby Driver. But one of his complaints was, and I have an argument against this, is I wish Jamie Foxx would have been kind of the final bad guy, not John Hamm. See, I like the fact
That's what he felt?
Yeah, I like the fact that I'm going to throw this at you and see what you think. I like the fact that John Hamm is.
Yeah.
Because they built it up that John Hamm's the nice guy. Like, he always when Bernthal and Fox are, like, getting confrontational with Baby, guess what? He always seems to have his back. And to see, not his friend, but somebody who seemed to genuinely like Baby.
Yeah, he seems similar. He kind of brings up that he's had a similar past to Baby.
He was like a Wall Street person who got kind of caught up in drugs and fell in love with fell in love with this girl.
It's implied, but not 100% said.
Yeah, fell in love with this girl, left his wife on some adventure. Talking about John Hamm's character, of course. And see, I like the fact that he was the final bad guy.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I think that it added some stakes to it that, oh man, this guy is like his friend 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And it was kind of made you feel it in the gut. Now,
it's kind of like in The Dark Knight where they've taken care of the Joker, but Two-Face is still out there.
Yeah.
They got rid of Bats.
And he
and
just
now they
shows
have to
out.
go after
Like,
Buddy.
he just shows up in that cop car in that garage, car garage.
John Hamm in that cop car is amazing.
He's
that
awesome.
cop, I haven't seen a menacing cop car since the first Transformers.
Yeah.
or since Terminator 2 or something. Like, it was like, oh shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's him, you know?
Yeah.
It was awesome.
He was good, man. Like, you sometimes you forget how good of an actor John Hamm is. Like, it seems like whenever there's dream casting for, he could be a good Batman, or like John Hamm's name comes up. But then when he's actually on screen and you're watching him, you're like, he could be a good anything. This guy's just a fantastic freaking actor.
Have you finished Parks and Rec?
Yeah,
okay.
I did.
You remember John Hamm in that?
I do, but I don't remember, vividly what it was.
He's in another show.
He's in Mad Men, of course.
No, but there's another show. So in Parks and Rec, he has a very small cameo where he's a total screw up.
He's Mark Brandanowitz. No, I'm just kidding.
He's getting like fired basically.
Remember that guy? They just wrote him off the show.
He's basically like John Hamm's character, Parks and Rec. He's like a small cameo where he just gets fired. Where it's like we jump
Brandanowitz.
Okay, we jump ahead in the future, and it's just like, oh, you're awful, you're fired. He's like, okay. And he's in another show, I don't want to give it away, but he's in another show where he has a very quick cameo that's so, like, it's almost like insulting because it's John Hamm, but that's the humor in it, you know what I mean?
He reminds me of Kevin Spacey in this way.
Mm-hmm.
They subtly chew scenery. It's not like in your face.
Yeah.
Bernthal and Fox were doing it. It was like, oh, God. I mean, not like eye-rolling bad, maybe with Bernthal, but it was noticeable. With Hamm and Spacey, they're natural at captivating your attention.
Yeah.
Like, in the moment, you're so caught up in what they said, then when they leave that scene, you're like, oh, man, what an intense scene. This great acting. But
do you not like Bernthal as Punisher?
He was pretty good. Yeah.
All right, cool.
I didn't love him. I like Thomas Jane better, but
you like what? Oh,
the original Punisher. Now I guess the original would be what's his name?
Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah. That's a Jerry Reed pull right there. But Andrew Stokes. Another thing besides Colin Will walked out of the theaters. Woman asked me what movie. There's only like 5 people in this movie because it's been out a while. She said, "What movie did you just get out of?" I'm like, "Baby Driver." This was in a parking lot.
You were like skipping down.
I was like on Amazon ordering the soundtrack.
Queen's Greatest Hits. Like,
so I was like, "Baby Driver." She said, "Do you understand?" Because there's something that's driving me crazy about this movie, and I'm just reflecting on it internally. She's like, "Do you understand why he had to work for Kevin Spacey?" I was like, "My understanding of this is that as a kid or a young teen or something, he broke into Kevin Spacey's house or car, I guess a car, tried to boost it, and it had something in there Spacey was selling. Drugs, something valuable, maybe stolen stuff. And as a result, Spacey's basically been blackmailing Baby, giving him a little bit of money, but not as much as everybody else, into doing these heists as forgiveness.
Yeah.
Did the film make that clear to you? To me, it did. To this lady, it did not.
She must have gone to the bathroom. It was super clear. I mean,
Yeah.
they
Now,
like
was it
literally explain it. Like, yeah, I think he stole his car and he had something expensive in the trunk or something. And I forget what happened to the car. I think maybe he ruined it or something. So I think it was very explicitly clear that this is what was going on.
One thing I really like about this.
No, unless you're talking about at the end. Once he's finished, once he's done, like he's paid him back, and he's like, "Okay, I'm done." And then Kevin's like, "No, you're not."
Well, he threatens his family.
Sure, but I guess the argument could be, well, why didn't you just
girlfriend and
why didn't you just get it? He obviously at some point in the movie thought he could get away with it. Like during this heist, he's kind of decided. Yeah, Baby's decided. Okay, I can get away with it. So I guess maybe that's the argument. But he tried to during the night.
A lot of
the
people,
last heist, you know what I mean?
And going to that point, a lot of people, most notably the Slash Filmcast, was like, when Kevin Spacey's like, "Do we do this? The final heist? Like, why didn't Baby just say no? Let's not do it." He could have walked away. Kevin Spacey gave him an out. My thing was that he felt not to Fox, but I think to Ham, which makes Ham all the better at the end, some sense of loyalty.
Yeah.
Did you get that feeling?
Yeah, I think it mostly I don't think he felt like he could say no.
Yeah.
Even though
it was offered.
Yeah. I don't think he felt like he really had the option, or at least that he felt pressured, into continuing on.
One thing about this movie that it does very well is it balances between being a big action movie and an intimate character-driven movie, because I remember this shot where the camera zooms out and you're looking at the intersecting bridge highways of Atlanta. By the way, hated Atlanta Falcons, but shout out to the ATL here. It was all filmed on location. Atlanta looked great in the movie.
Gotta get some Godfather's pizza now.
When it pulls back, and it was Goodfellas pizza, wasn't it? Or was it God?
Was it?
I don't know. Some Scorsese pizza. But when it pulls back the camera, and you see all just the chaos that's ensued over this heist going bad, you're like, man, this is a big action blockbuster from Edgar Wright. But then you're also to moments like when Kevin Spacey discovers the tapes, or when Baby goes back for the tape of his mom. And we're in spoilers now that you see the flashback of the mom and dad were arguing on the interstate. It looked like they ran to the back of tractor trailer. They were killed. That's where he gets the humming the drum, as Kevin Spacey puts it.
Are we sure that was it his father, or was it like a stepfather?
Maybe it was a step. I'm not sure.
I don't remember.
And then you have these flashbacks of him getting the iPod. It just balanced very well between good small character moments and big action set pieces. That's my opinion. That's one of the reasons why I love this movie so much.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the Mike Myers gag with the mask? It was given away in the trailer.
Right, I thought it was hilarious in the trailer. Do
you wish they wouldn't have gave that away?
Yeah.
That was good.
But I think also the way it was set up, it might have been a little funnier in the trailer.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was still humorous in this. It was funny. It was a funny little exchange.
As fans of Michael Myers, Halloween.
Not just in general.
Just
it's a funny
imagine
exchange.
you're going to like thinking you're gonna get that Michael Myers mask.
Yeah, you get Austin Powers.
Did you feel the proverbial shit hit the fan when they find those tapes and he just slams Baby Driver's head?
Yeah.
Or Baby, excuse me, against the. It's like, man, I thought Kevin Spacey had like empathy for him, but he doesn't. He's just using this kid.
Yeah.
I have one complaint about this movie.
Okay.
And the only complaint is it's like 1 second Kevin Spacey's threatened to kill this kid, and at the end he comes to his rescue and even gives his life to help him against John Hamm. My argument against this nitpick is he saw Deborah, he saw true love, he was in love once, and that was his excuse.
I think more that Buddy was just pissing him off.
Probably that too.
It was a little much how much he was helping, just kind of out of the blue. But I think he did, even though he was threatened Baby to control Baby. I feel like though he liked Baby. You know
I do
mean?
too. You got that sense throughout the film.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was this grandiose leap for him to help Baby.
No.
At the end,
it was a little noteworthy, like huh?
Yeah.
But but it wasn't that crazy.
It didn't pull you
It's
out
easy
of the
to
film
get-
too much. Now, the fact that Deborah waits on this guy 5 years, the fact that she gets risks throwing her life away for this kid she just met.
The fact
not
that Deborah
kid,
waits like 24 hours was already a much of a stretch for me.
much less 5 years.
Yeah, it's like, here's an interesting kid. You don't know what's going on. And then he's involved with some characters. You're like, okay, maybe this guy's a little seedier than I thought. And then he's like, I'll be here at 2 a.m. to pick you up. Doesn't show up, doesn't call.
But
and she's fine with this. And then when he shows up, the next time she sees him, some guy is trying to kill both of them. Like,
you've known me a long time.
I have.
I've known you a long time.
About 2.5 years.
Over a decade. And when you I think you've been in love before. I know you're not currently with a significant other, but when you're in love, you do illogical things. And was that illogical for her to get in that car with baby at the end?
I think one of the reasons.
Yes.
I think one of the reasons I'm not with a significant other right now is I'm stubborn.
Yeah.
So, if somebody stood me up like that, and then the next time I see them, somebody's trying to kill both of us. You know what I mean?
But
I
you've
don't
been
know.
in a relationship where you cared for somebody, you loved somebody, you maybe thought you loved them, whatever, where you did stuff you wouldn't normally do.
And they're young. I get it.
That
but
too.
It still was like Deborah as a character was kind of flat because of that. You know,
a lot of people argue that
she's just the love interest. That's all she is. Like at first you think she could be something more, but it's like no, she's just.
Look, I'm all for female empowerment. We talked about that earlier with our whole Wonder Woman combo.
Yeah.
But, I mean, sometimes the story is about a guy and a girl, and a guy falling for a girl, and a girl falling for a guy. And I wrote this at the Epic Review, thepicreview.com. At the end of the day, what makes this movie so good to me is it's about a guy, a girl, a car. All right, plural, cars.
Yeah.
In this case.
A guy, a girl, and a playlist.
That and music. And to me there's just something so innocent, so genuine about that.
I mean, there's a lot of callbacks, especially the way they act, the way they meet in a diner, and the car at the end. There's these callbacks to like this older era, and maybe this older era of love and maybe cinema.
It feels there's parts of this movie that remind me of Pulp Fiction tonally.
Okay, but so I'm saying the love
Dogs.
story is kind of maybe itself is kind of a classic. Yeah,
it's sit now.
Yeah,
but there are parts where it does like fall back to romantic classicism. I mean, I adore this movie. I love it. Do you think this is Edgar Wright's best movie? So you got Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, At World's End, this, and Scott Pilgrim.
I don't know. I think I don't remember Scott Pilgrim that well, so I guess probably not that. Even though I remember liking it, I think Shaun of the Dead I still like more than this.
I want to ask you to do 2 ratings here. Okay. What would you rate the soundtrack?
I don't know. I don't hate music. Well, speaking of the soundtrack,
you bought it too.
Absolutely not. There's another movie that came out this year where the soundtrack is pretty important.
Guardians 2?
And and see, I like Guardians 2. That to me, that was.
I love that soundtrack.
Yeah, I like that soundtrack better. I think overall,
I'm going to agree with Abby when I like the Guardians 2 soundtrack better than the Guardians 1 soundtrack. Look, you or I, neither one of us will ever proclaim to be music people.
Yeah.
So the fact that I bought this, it's not here yet, but I bought this soundtrack, and some of this was to do with the Mondo artwork on the cover.
Yeah.
That I bought this on vinyl for $27, not on sale. Tells me how much I like this soundtrack.
Sure.
It stood out to me. So much like the 2 Guardians soundtracks stood out to me.
And see, this didn't stand out to me. Though.
Really?
I didn't like.
Oh my gosh, it was so varied. I mean, I'm not a music person. I can't speak to those.
It's not bad, but like after the Guardians movie, I go to like Amazon or Spotify or something and try to like find the playlist of the songs for this.
Yeah.
And Baby Driver, I did not.
After this, I bought the vinyl, Andrew.
You did.
So I'll confirm the soundtrack epic.
I don't want to rate the soundtrack.
All right, that's fine. Understandable. So what would you? No. I think it's pretty obvious what I'm gonna rate this movie. So we'll save you for last here.
Okay.
I'm going to confirm this epic. I'm going to say that I'm not putting it above War for my favorite movie, not of the summer, but of the year. It's a dead tie with War. And I want to go back at if not the end of the summer, the end of the year, and rank all these movies at least top 10.
Right.
And I would have a hard time ranking one of those above the other. Obviously, there's a lot of great stuff to come, so we'll see what happens. But I confirm this epic. I adored this movie. I loved Elgor. I loved the soundtrack. I loved the car. I loved the poster. Like, I love this freaking movie, and I hate I didn't see it sooner. That's my only regret here.
I kind of feel the same way about summer movies. I feel the same way about Dunkirk and War for the Planet of the Apes. Where it's like, I'm not
it's
sure.
It's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
I mean, being the Nolan that I am.
Yeah.
But not to steal your thunder. What would you give this movie? Wait, was it hard for you to rate this?
I'm really between two ratings, and it's kind of like I'm hard between the two.
You're hard between the two. All right, Andrew Stokes.
But I think in let's go back to early summer.
Okay.
We'll finish off late summer in a similar way. You gave it epic. Then I'm going to give it a good and a half.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
So we're at the same spot.
Yeah.
So you were debating between a good and a great?
Good and a half and a great. Yeah.
Okay.
Good and a half and a great.
I confirm this epic. Like, to me, it was like no doubt when I walked out of the theater, I had that feeling. It had the epic scene. I think it had two with the foot chase and the opening scene. I mean, just quintessential epic scene.
The opening scene, the whole car chase, and I'm not sure we mentioned the scene right following that. The coffee scene where he's going to get coffee and the music is playing and like everything he does and like the graffiti on the wall, like everything's like matching perfectly to the song. It was really cool. And if there was more of that in the film, I didn't really feel like we got more of that kind of stuff in the film.
We got it, but never to that level.
Right, exactly.
I would say. So, Edgar Wright's Baby Driver, Andrew Stokes confirms it good and a half. I confirm it epic.
I feel like I've been kind of negative on the film. Maybe it's just in my head or whatever.
I don't think. See, you've said you didn't enjoy it as much as me, but you had to sit here and shit on this movie.
Yeah, I do think I liked this movie. It's a good movie. I recommended it earlier. I think I'm counterbalanced to how much you love this film.
Yeah.
So I got one question for you before we wrap up this part.
Yes, I'm thinking about buying the Mondo.
Okay. I can't remember what they called it, but John Hamm was talking to Baby about this. Oh, I also love, we didn't mention this, that Baby's not his real name.
Yeah.
I love that. I totally bought that Baby was his name. I totally bought that his name was actually Baby.
It's still a car thing. Miles, you know. All right, go ahead.
So I forget what they called it, but they basically refer to like that kind of driving get hype song. He has that one Queen song. John Hamm had a song that's like, that's our driving song that really, you know what I mean? When we're cruising down the road, we just love this song. Do you have a song like that?
Oh, man. See, it sounds bad, but again, I'm not a music person. I listen to so many damn podcasts. I don't know if
But I mean, if you were just going, so like you knew you were about to just be cruising down the, like while you're driving.
Hyped, or am I just driving?
If some crazy scenario where there's a cop behind you and he's going to pull you over and you're not going to let him and you want to put a song on that's going to get you down that road.
It's Linkin Park, Jay-Z Encore.
Okay, that's a good one.
All right, but if I'm getting hype, it's 50 Cent In the Club.
Okay. For me, I think it's, and I probably had more younger, I used to listen to music like
we used to ride around and cruise.
Right. So I can't really remember back then, but I think right now it's probably Beastie Boys Sabotage is probably that like.
That's in that Star Trek trailer.
It is, yeah. It's also when he's cruising down the street. He stole that car.
Used to sing some, and you're actually a decent singer. Going back to our rock band days.
Thank you.
You would sing some Red Hot Chili Peppers too.
Chili Peppers. I have like a whole like kind of like mellow playlist that I like to like listen to. That Red Hot Chili Peppers isn't like super get hype for me. It's like that's cruising music.
I will say one regret about this movie. Abby and I were going to see this together. We decided not to do this tonight. We went to Big Ben's, which stay tuned after the podcast to hear about that experience. Special post-credit stinger. I'll say that I hate we didn't go see this together because I ended up just going by myself the next day. Yeah. And I feel like with the musical aspect, she would have really enjoyed this movie. Yeah. But that's all I got for Baby Driver and Confirmed Epic Podcast number 71. Do we want to announce what we're planning on reviewing for 72?
No.
I do.
Okay.
I'm going to throw it out there.
All right.
Our plans are next week to review Detroit, starring John Boyega, out August 4th. So I think that will be a very interesting conversation to have. So
#interesting.
Look for that drop next week. This should drop tonight, Thursday. What's today? The 3rd? I think it's August 3rd. So that wraps up this edition, the 72nd edition of the Confirmed Epic Podcast. Where can people find more of you, a.k.a. Andrew Stokes?
You can follow me on Twitter at a.k.a. Andrew Stokes. You can check out random articles by me on the epicreview.com. That's thepicreview.com. That's basically it. I guess if you want to contact me somehow, if you contact the Epic Review Podcast, whatever, Confirmed Epic Podcast on Facebook, you'll be
or
getting
you can
me.
always email us at thepicreview@gmail.com. You can now find us on Instagram at the Confirmed Epic Podcast, all one word. You can add me on Facebook at Real Brad, REEL Brad. Find me at Geeks Worldwide, dgww.com, The Epic Review, thepicreview.com. Of course, the number one place to always find me is on Twitter at The Real Brad Bell, DREEL Brad Bell. And for the 71st edition of the Confirmed Epic Podcast from the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina, we are out.
That's all I have to say about that.
This has been a production of the GWW Radio Network. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Also, check out Geeks Worldwide at thegww.com for all the latest news, reviews, and opinions on video games, comics, movies, TV, cosplay, and more. Geeks Assemble!
So I've been thinking about. I started thinking about today because I listened to a lot of Rooster Teeth stuff, Achievement Hunter, that kind of stuff.
Oh God!
And it's that time of year though where Game of Thrones is back on.
Yeah.
And so it's like a freaking minefield with all of their stuff. Like today on their podcast, or the podcast from this past Monday that I'm listening to today, they were talking. They had a whole thing about there was some sex scene in the newest episode. So they started talking about, well, this character, that character, and I'm
that was like 2 weeks ago.
I just had, well, yeah. Some of them hadn't seen this past one, so it was like from the previous week. So I had to like
Cookie, no, she's going toward that Green Ranger. She chewed up my Red Ranger toy.
No, she didn't.
Already, yeah, and she knows better.
Penny.
I think no, it's not Penny. It's
I'm
Cookie.
Sorry, Cookie.
She's running now.
Yeah,
the old beagle there. All right.
Anyway, so they start talking about this, so I just have to turn the volume down. You know what I mean? Like, okay,
just skip ahead.
Well, I'm driving typically when I'm watching.
You know what? Speaking of that, I bought me one of those mount things, like an Uber driver would have.
Yeah.
And it's so convenient with as many podcasts as I listen to, just to be able to skip ahead.
See, I use the map feature a lot on my phone too. I've been thinking about getting one.
It's $20. And you know, it's convenient if you're listening to a podcast that has like a bunch of annoying sound drops. Like you like the content of the host talking, but then they insert some bombastic like clip to introduce
our podcast
a segment, and you can just skip right over it and still enjoy the podcast.
Well,
go ahead
unless you're listening to our podcast, in which case the clips are of widely varying degrees.
It may be 3 seconds. It may be a full minute and a masturbatory exercise by me, but...
knock, knock, knock. Housekeeping.
Well, if you've listened to this podcast, you'll get the reference. But go ahead, Andrew.
Anyway,
Game of Thrones.
So I have to turn it down. But it also gets into their Let's Plays and stuff. I'll be watching
Game of Thrones.
I'll be watching because they all watch it, so they talk about it. So they'll be like they'll play a game like Grand Theft Auto, where it's like, okay, we have to drive to the mission, so they're not doing anything, so they fill the time with talking. Anybody watch Game of Thrones this week? Oh yeah, it was a great episode. And it's like, it's like a minefield. You know what I mean? And Funhouse is even worse. Like, are you familiar with Funhouse? Yeah. Like them, I basically
Rooster Teeth acquired.
Right.
Them. Yeah.
See, I think that's what they say, but like they weren't a thing until Rooster Teeth either.
Really? I'd heard they were because I was doing some research on them.
They were a thing called Inside Gaming, which was part of Machinima. And as far as I know, because I started watching them right at the very end, I found them. I'm like, these guys are hilarious. They left them, created Funhouse, which I thought was Rooster Teeth right away. But it may have been they created Funhouse.
Which they're a YouTube channel. They're not a podcast. Like, they have the podcast,
they do have a podcast.
Funhouse Answers. But it's very
they have Dude Soup, which is their podcast.
What about Off Topic? Is that the guys from Funhouse, or is that the guys from Achievement Hunter?
Okay. Off Topic's Achievement Hunter. Always Open is like the women of Rooster
Abby
Teeth.
listens to Always Open.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've listened to like 1 or 2 episodes.
My wife, Abby, who I've given the moniker, she's kind of given herself the moniker Mother of Beagles.
Mother of Beagles.
So it's kind of, we all kind of have these call signs. I'm annoyingly the real Brad Bell, if you don't know that by now.
R-E-E-L, Brad Bell.
And Andrew is a.k.a. Andrew Stokes, right?
Yep.
Jerry Barbecue 17 Reed.
Classic.
We have Kendall, who is my favorite Buckeye, the only Buckeye that I like. So, and he's not a football fan. Of course, that's Technodrome Tales.
Okay. Which explains why I haven't heard it.
Yeah. But go ahead. So I think I know where this is going. You're going to start watching Game of Thrones.
I'm going to start watching Game of Thrones.
Okay, didn't you watch the first season, or was that Jerry?
I fell asleep watching the very first episode.
Which the first season is slow, but now...
Well, I had already read the books.
Yeah.
And I was it was late at night. I had borrowed the first season from a friend.
I don't have the first season. I have 2 and 3.
Yeah.
How are you gonna watch these?
Well, so this is what I think I'm gonna do, because I've been thinking about doing this for a while. I think I'm gonna get HBO Now.
Mm-hmm. Was it $15 a month?
Yeah. And I'm gonna watch the first season, and if I'm really into it, because I already know what's gonna happen, but if I'm really into, like, wow, this is a good show. Like, I know it's gonna be.
This is a good show.
If
Andrew,
I'm into
this
it.
is the best. I mean, this is yet to be seen as far as the ending, right? Because I mean, I don't know it. Nobody knows it, I guess, except for the showrunners, Weiss and Benioff, and not everybody on the cast knows it. This is the best show I've ever seen. Like, this is the Lord of the Rings of this generation.
Sure. Well, one, not a big fan of Lord of the Rings.
Me either. But I don't like fantasy, but I love this show.
But you also don't like shows that most people say are good.
Yeah,
Breaking Bad,
Defenders,
the whole Netflix suite.
Yeah.
So, but I mean,
so this is giving you pause about watching it because I like the show.
No, but my point is, people say it's good. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to like it that much.
True.
If I want to really like it, is my point. Like, I'm sure I'll watch it and I'm like, this is good. But I want to really like it. And if I really like it, I'll continue. If I don't, I guess I'm going to go back to
you don't want to blow
books.
your load for the books,
right?
For a show you just kind of like.
Right.
One thing I will say about us is we do have unique taste in television. I won't say that we go along with the masses. I mean, some stuff like Game of Thrones, yeah, we do. Like, Abby and I are obsessed with it. I got her into it. It's an event.
Game of Thrones is like the new Lost. Like, Walking Dead was almost that, but like
it was that for about 2 years.
Everybody is into Game of Thrones.
Like,
I have
crazy.
Friends that are not nerdy. Like, maybe they'll go see the Marvel movies or something, but not even all of them. You know what I mean? They're not really into this type of stuff. Everybody watches Game of Thrones.
That's how Abby is. I mean, she's into this stuff now because of me, but she legitimately likes this. Not just because I like it. Like, she has a vested interest, independent.
She'd watch it without you.
Yeah. I think she would.
Yeah.
But it's weird because HBO is I guess maybe not now with HBO. Is it Go or Now?
I think Go is the internet version if you have a TV subscription, and Now is the separate,
the independent, which is what you'll get.
Right, I believe it's one or the other.
Anyway, maybe it's different because of HBO Go or Now, but AMC is a lot more accessible than HBO because
are they?
I mean, AMC is part of like a package of about 30 channels on most cable and satellite subscription plans, but HBO's completely, you pay for HBO separately. For example, we pay $17 a month just for HBO.
Yeah.
AMC, we pay like $20 extra a month for a package that includes AMC.
Yeah.
So when are you going to start?
Well, see, that's what I'm trying to think. Defenders is getting ready to come out. I think I'm still on. I haven't watched Orange is the New Black in like a week or so. Because I've rewatched Daredevil.
Kenny is loving you. Oh my, it's like having an orgasm down there or something.
I rewatched Daredevil. I watched a little bit of the Defenders, so I can't remember exactly where I am on Orange is the New Black. Either I just finished season 2, or I still have a few episodes. But so I have some of this stuff to watch. That's been my thing. I've been thinking all summer of getting HBO Now, not for Game of Thrones, but to like
for the
binge
Confederate States of America, which is the new Weiss and
that's
Benny
not how
option.
yet. But it's like binge watch Leftovers and watch Ballers and like some of these other things. So I've been thinking about it for a while. So I'm not sure. Like
Ballers is the Entourage of this generation. And Game of Thrones is the Lord of the Rings of this generation. But not to cut you off, even though I am, Andrew. I think it's transcended. It's hard to say this. It's transcended the books.
Who?
This
Game of
TV
Thrones.
show.
Have you read the books?
No, but how many people are going to talk about Game of Thrones? I'm talking about in the world, and they're going to be talking about the books compared to the number of people talking about the show worldwide.
Isn't it always more people talk about the show and the movie than the books, though?
I guess so, but it's weird how this whole thing played out, because like Lord of the Rings, the books had been written.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, when Lord of the Rings come out, World War II, right? So around 1930, late 1930s, early 1940s. So this is weird that the book series, I guess this is a lot like Harry Potter, because those movies were hitting when the books were.
Yeah, and a lot of more people, but the TV shows far surpass the books.
But Harry Potter, the books were bigger than the movies, even though the movies were huge. Like, when I think of the definitive Harry Potter, even though I only read the first 4 books, I think of those books. Like, going at midnight to get them, like you did that, Evan did that. Did you do that?
I did that for number 4, yeah.
Okay, Evan did that for a bunch of... Max did that, who's a friend of ours, who lives in Arizona now. But the books are Harry Potter. Movies are great. Sure, they made a gazillion.
But I still feel like more
people
people watch these movies than the books.
What, Harry Potter?
Yeah. You yourself just said you've read 4.
I know, and I've seen all the movies, but I don't know why I have that feeling. I mean, I don't have
I know a lot of people that have not read the books and have seen the movies.
I don't have quantitative evidence to prove that statement, much like about every statement I make on this podcast.
I can't. I don't have any stats to back up my counter argument. But
stats. So since we're just kind of bullshitting around, and this has become a mini confirmed crap that we're going to post at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
Abby wanted me to talk about this on the podcast, but I mean, I just thought it would be weird considering we have a lot of stuff to talk about today.
I mean, we are an explicit podcast, but I don't know where this is going.
No. Well. So Abby and I tried this place called Big Ben's, and it's not a Stiller's bar. It's called.
It's a European bar.
It's
a pub.
Big Ben's British pub.
Oh, it is. Okay.
The only British pub in Charlotte, and it's owned by.
Hard to believe.
It's owned by somebody who is from England, so they have all their family recipes, and that's what you get on the menu.
So nobody orders off the menu. It's just the beer they drink.
No, it's not just the beer. There's a lot of good beer. So we go there, and we had read the reviews online. It was like 4.4 out of 5 stars on Yelp, which is really good.
Jerry Barbecue 17 gave it.
Oddly enough, even though Jerry doesn't get too much into beer, I think he would really like this place.
Sure.
It's got. I know I've never been to a British pub, but it seems to have, based on what I've read, talking to people there, an authentic pub feel. People from England come in there who are transplants to Charlotte because they say they feel like they're at home. They were the bartender was telling Abby and I a story about a 1-year-old who had his birthday party at this pub. Obviously, that was his parents' choice, but they had moved here I guess shortly after the kid was born, or maybe they conceived the kid here. I don't know the story of this couple. Maybe they conceived the kid at Big Ben's pub. But anyway, they wanted to have his party kind of like at home without being at home.
Yeah.
So, you go in here, they got like a bunch of local beers on tap, like No Daw's, a big brewery in Charlotte, and Birdsong, and what else is Triple C. So those are the 3 big craft breweries, and they ship all over the world. I mean, they're big beer companies. Haven't been bought out yet by anybody like Budweiser, but they had 3 beers on tap that I'd never seen before. One was called Boddington's English Pub Ale.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was called Speckled Hen, and one of them was called Smithwick's, which was the Irish beer, kind of like dark like a Guinness. So Abby partaked in all 3 of these. I tried one, the Smithwick's. It was great.
It sounds the most Harry Potter-ish.
Yeah, it does sound like something you'd get in Diagon Alley or some shit. But so we tried these, and I was blown away by all 3. Now, apparently, Boddington's has the best marketing campaign in England for beer.
Okay.
It's like this heavy cream beer. And if you drink this, like, on a regular basis, you're probably going to put on, like, 10 pounds. But all the commercials, I guess this is a beer trope, if you will, are like women in bikinis saying, I have the ultimate Boddington. And the catchphrase of the beer is the cream of Manchester. And, like, they take the foam and start rubbing it on their body like suntan lotion and stuff like that.
I'm afraid I'm going to need to see proof of this.
Yeah, I'll show you proof of this after the podcast. And there's another one called Speckled Hen. Okay, British beer commercials are like batshit. So the spokesperson for Speckled Hen is a fox, like a fox in a hen house.
Okay.
And he talks, like, his pitch to drink this beer was, have a few of these and, go out on some rides around the pubs. I'm like, this dude's, like, encouraging drinking and driving. This is great marketing. But there's a place called Total Wine, which is a beer store we have around. Well, not around here. We had to drive like 30 minutes deep into Charlotte to get there.
Yeah.
But they had all these.
Yeah.
Which was a blatant lie by the bartender who said, this is the only place you can get these. But anyway, I rated Big Ben's
Maybe it's
Pub.
the only place you can get them on tap.
I think that's what she meant. And upon research, from what I've read in the reviews and stuff, it is.
Okay.
But It was a fun experience. I rated on 5 stars. I said confirmed epic authentic British pub
Confirmed epic.
On their Facebook reviews. But enough about British beer, enough about Game of Thrones. Let's go ahead and get this show started, Andrew Stokes.